Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll podcast brought to you by the Adventure Archive. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Hunter.
And today we are going to be going over Gun and Slinger by Nevyn Holmes, the RPG about a weapon and a wanderer, where you explore a twisted planet, hunt strange bounties, and unlock hidden powers. How you doing this morning, dude?
I'm so good. It's great to see you. You know, we took a little week off. I got the flu so bad. So that's why we took a week off.
So you had COVID and flu this season.
I've had COVID and flu this year.
And the flu. So. At least you didn't have it together. The flu-rona. Yeah. So I have, luckily, so far, thank goodness, escaped both.
Yeah.
But you know,
I'm around a lot of children at work. You know, there's a lot of kids running around, so children are filthy. So
they're disgusting.
They're disease-ridden little creatures.
You know, I'm around COVID patients at work.
That's very true. Yeah,
luckily, you know, I have amazing coworkers, and I've been able to stay safe and due diligence.
Shout out your coworkers, and honestly, shout out the management of your place for being so cool about it too.
So today we're going to be going over Gun and Slinger. You actually told me about Gun and Slinger.
I kind of just bought it on a whim. You know, it was on, I think it was on Exalted when I got it, and I just was like, sure, this looks cool. I like the art, and I got it, and you know, there's a lot about it that I really like. So
yeah, it's very interesting.
It's very interesting.
It's a very different mechanic than we've gone over on this at all, and like that I've ever played.
Oh, totally. So, it's a completely unique and it's a completely unique mechanic. And what's funny is that I actually bought a deck of because we're gonna go through it's a playing card game. I actually bought a deck of old Western looking playing cards to play this game. But I haven't we'll go through it, but you need two people that have good chemistry, I think, to really enjoy this game.
I think we could play this game well, but you need three people to play it too.
You don't know. You do not.
Well, there is. You don't have to, but it is written originally as three people. But there is a GM-less option. But again, we'll go over all of that as we dig into the game. But we're going to start this episode, this podcast. You know what? Someone called this the other day. I believe it was like Aiko from the Lost Bay, who. When we talked about their project last week 2 weeks ago on Broken Luck on Kickstart the Podcast, they call this a vodcast.
Cool. Hell yeah. I'm into it.
I had never heard that phrase before. And I really like it because that is kind of what this is. It's a podcast, but you can totally like watch it too. So podcast and vodcast. I like that. But we are going to kickstart the podcast /vodcast. Yeah. With actually, I have physical rewards that I want to talk about real quick. So let's start with that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've received all of yours for this yet.
I ordered it late. I think I know what you're talking about, and I put the order in late. So
these bad boys right here.
So cool, man.
So cool. So excited. And I got the hardback, and I got the paperback version. Just in case, I know we talked about possibly running this on the podcast sometime. So potential to give away this nice paperback if and when we run this on stream, because I got a nice dope hardback right here.
I also think I have two, and I'm not really sure how or why. But
it comes with a deck of cards. So to talk about, I haven't even said it out loud because I keep forgetting we are a podcast as well. This is Escape Sequence Xeno. From Squid Ink Games. It is a card-based game where you play a galactic scientist attempting to escape from a deadly alien invader that has infiltrated your space station. You must uncover the escape pod codes, find rations, activate the rescue beacon, and arm the self-destruct sequence, escaping the station before the deadly crew finds and kills you, or the deadly creature finds and kills you, like the rest of the unfortunate crew. It is single or co-op, plays in 25 to 40 minutes. Basically, I mean, realistically, it's Alien, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Cool. But I've read through it. The mechanics are really, really cool. And like I said, it is a card building game. So for those that are listening and not able to watch it, I'm showing a page that shows kind of a layout of of what could be a space station area. And what I really like about it too is the game gives you multiple ways to play it. One, what I'm holding in my hand right now is a deck of cards that came with the Kickstarter. So everything you need to play the game, including like tokens and stuff, you can actually fold and cut to turn into tokens. Same thing with like the creature. Really, really cool. Here's the creature card. For those that can't see, it's a very bug-like looking creature with like a bright pink, which obviously, if you've ever watched our stream, is a big color here. So really dig that.
Yeah,
What's
we
cool
are very
about
much
it, though,
into
is
bright pink. Actually, and I'm not even kidding. I actually really like that color that we use. So
I mean, I picked it for a reason. I love, the older I get, the more I'm into like pink and purple. It's fucking badass. Vaporwave colors in general, like my Eye Wizard Necronalis box back there. But what's cool, big shout out to the Eye Wizard. What I really like about this
Eye Wizard.
Is first of all, it's a cool game. It's a cool concept. You can play with a deck of cards that you can get that you got with it. You can play with a regular deck of cards, or literally half the book is you just being able to tear the pages out and use the pages in the book to actually make everything that you need, which is super dope. Obviously, I would never do that to a book.
I would never do that. So maybe I'll use that. No. I'm getting the black and white and the color copy. Maybe I'll do that with the black and white copy.
You didn't get the deck of cards?
It doesn't look like I did.
Oh, maybe I can order a second
in the shipping.
I mean, you can just look at your pledge that you backed.
I got a full game book. So.
Oh, okay. Maybe I don't know if it's just one. Maybe I can use a POD code to get another one. Oh, look. And if so, I'll grab a deck for you because it's cool. Escape Signals, the other cool thing I really loved about this project, first of all, it was relatively inexpensive. I backed it at a level that got all of these things. And I think it was only like $10 plus all the POD codes for everything. But included in that, it hasn't come out yet. But they actually did a module called Station Xeno for Death in Space.
I did see that. I did see they were doing that. Very cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see what a Death in Space module looks like, because Death in Space is very new and it's gorgeous. It's right there behind me. But the intro module is very interesting, and I'm curious what third-party modules are going to look like. So excited for that. This is Escape Sequence Xeno. Really, really cool. Check out Squid Ink Games on Twitter. I believe their name is Inky Calamari is their Twitter handle. Let me just make sure it's at the bottom of one of these updates. Yeah, Inky Calamari. Check them out. They've got a lot of stuff coming out. They've put out some really cool stuff. So again, Escape Sequence Xeno, really, really cool. Would love to play this on stream, especially Hunter, when you wrap up some school stuff that you're doing. I'd really, really, we really want to do a lot more actual play stuff. So we'll see how that goes. That is the first of the.
Definitely should be our first one. And also, for the record, I did pack at the $10.
Oh, good. So you should get the code for the deck of cards too. Also, we are 100% going to run 12 years sooner than later as a dual thing.
Yeah. Wait for my new copy of 12 Years to come in. We should do it then.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that soon. I'll see if Max will let me show that on stream here soon. All right. Hey. I need to fix that window thing. So this is not what we're going to start with here. We are going to start the Kickstart the Podcast campaign stuff in two different ways, because we talked about this last week. It's Tiny Tome.
2 weeks ago.
Last episode. So we actually got a preview version of this. Yeah. Well, we as in I from Longtail Games, and it. Again, we talked about it a little bit last week, is really fucking cool. They previously had a project come out called Tiny Library, which is the deck of cards, which I recently ordered from Ratty and Cantati, actually. I can't wait to get that. But this is a book with 50 different, they say single-page RPGs, but it spreads.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And first of all of them are really cool. It's a great little project. I was actually, when I was messaging Longtail Games about this, when I first got it, my response to him was, dude, like, I know, like, when our friends that live in a different area, and if you and me ever get there, what I would love to do and what I could imagine doing is getting together on a Friday night, pulling out this book, literally just closing my eyes, like flipping pages and then just clicking one and then being able to just play that fucking game. And he was like, dude, that's exactly what I wanted with the game. Same with the deck of cards. Shuffle the deck of cards, draw one, you got a game to play. It's really, really, really cool. So to actually, since we previewed the physical version last time, let's go over the Kickstarter page. It's beyond funded. It is at almost $20,000 on a $5,000 goal. There aren't any stretch goals on this. The more money they make, the more they're able to pay the creators and do future
I'm
things,
good with
which is
that.
fantastic.
Honestly, I'm great with that. Like for projects,
100%.
that's just like yeah, if we make our stretch goals are to pay everyone more, I'm like, oh, that's really good. I'm actually super good with that.
Fuck yeah.
I think I've seen a couple projects that really smashed their goals that were just like, yeah, we just made up new levels that would just be increase everyone's pay. I'm like, oh, everyone should do that. That should be everyone's first like funding goal.
I love when projects do that, where they say, listen, everyone's paid appropriately, but
when they do
more we get, when they do. It's great when they do. So I backed this, obviously, even though I got a preview copy. But Tiny Tome, 50 single-page RPGs from dozens of different creators. Each game fits on an A5 sheet, both sides. So that's what it means by single page, as in like front and back of a page, except it's like the back and front of another one. I would have said spreads, but it doesn't matter. They're really, really awesome games too. Like I've read almost every single game in this book. It's really, really well done. And I love how in the beginning, like the very front with the index here, which is on the red side for those that can't see, it gives the name, a one-line breakdown of the game, and the creator and the creators at, most likely on Twitter. So when you go through the Kickstarter page, it gives breakdowns of a lot of the pages, a lot of the games. Really, really well done Kickstarter page. It's got some reviews from a lot of people that you can go check out. The Lore Mistress is one of them. She had a really, really in-depth review that was really, really fun to read. One of the other things I really like about it, aside from, they also did go over on Plus One EXP with Tony Vicenda, obviously, because he goes over everything because he's awesome.
Makes sense.
But when we talk about especially worldwide distribution, you know, a couple of names always pop up that we're big fans of: Floating Chair Club, Ratty and Cantati, and then Cardboard Monster is actually, I believe it's Longtail Games like company. They're either associated with them or it is them, and I'm pretty sure it is them. But they are distribution for Australia, which is really cool. And they also do slow funding through Cardboard Monster, which is really, really neat.
Very cool.
And I love slow funding. I wish, I'm so happy a lot more are doing it. We're basically like, the game is made or whatever, and as soon as we sell X number, we'll print it and distribute it, which is super, super cool. And there's no limit on it. So if it takes you 6 months to get 30 copies, that's fine. Then it's funded at no loss to anybody. And then you distribute those 30 copies.
Yeah,
which
and
is
it
really,
makes a lot of
really
sense too. You know, and it seems very creator friendly, especially smaller creators that, like, you know, frankly, are not going to put their, you know, they're not OSC and they're not going to get, you know, 100,000 in the first 24 hours, you know?
Yeah, no. One of the other things I really love about the Kickstarter page in general is that they actually list, in the same way that's listed in the book, the index for every game that's in it, all 50 games.
Oh, cool.
And if you click on any of them from the page, it takes you directly to the creator's Twitter page, which is super cool way to shout out all of the creators in the project directly from the Kickstarter page. So just in general, from people like you and I that actually look at a lot of Kickstarter pages, this one is super cool. And obviously the project is very creator friendly.
I was about to say that too. I think the one thing that you and I have started to really look for is like the creator friendly stuff. Like,
100%.
Because I think it's really important, you know?
Well, you know, especially in the indie TTRPG community, you know, if you're not the world's most overhyped role-playing game, it's really hard to break into a space. And especially when we just said about like small
it's such a
creators.
Quiet dig, you know? The world's most over. Like, you don't even have to say what the game is. We all know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it was a quiet dig until you had to point it out. But
I'm not quiet. So
yeah, well, that's very true. Anyway, great project. I mean, again, I have a preview copy, but I obviously snatched up one from the I backed this project as well. Even if I get like 10 copies of this, it's one of those things that we just said about the creators of the game. I want them to get, I want to support them as much as possible. And Longtail Games seems like A great company. Cardboard Monsters is like a great company. So really, really want to support them. And again, like we said, when there's a bunch of names on here that pop up in the indie TTRPG space, Tony Vicenda +1, you know, Ratting It Daddy, the Floating Chair Club. So a lot of good people on a really interesting project. So definitely go check this out. Super, super excited for it.
Yeah, I backed this one as well, actually, because it's like it's 18 AU, which I think is like $12.
Oh, that's the other thing. Canada and Australia, man, when they make games,
yeah,
it saves us
Australian
money.
dollar, baby. That should be hitting.
Yeah. I believe we were talking about a little bit from the beginning of the stream, when you can finally get people to break out of the dragon game cult and be like, maybe I should try a different game. This would be a great fucking book to have around, to be like, oh, you want to try a game? Let's do one totally real human adults where you can literally play as like 3 babies in a trench coat. Yeah. So I'm really... Oh, not only that, you can also play as a raccoon or a monkey or a chameleon or an opossum. So super fun, super cool. Definitely check this out. Tiny Tome. I believe they have like less than a day. So if you're watching this live, go back it. And if you are listening to this after Tuesday, you missed it. Yeah. Make sure you go see. I don't know if there's going to be a pre-order after, or it being able to late back it or buy it from the website in the future. But if you missed this, I know it will be distributed later, just like Tiny Library was. Go check it out. Awesome project. All right. Hunter, what is your project for today?
Oh, what am I talking about? I'm talking about something I'm very excited about. I am going to be talking about Cyber plus Punk Augmented, a tabletop RPG for one-shot cyberpunk action using streamlined Forged in the Dark rules. So I actually already own this game, the original version. It's really great. It's this very compact, like trifold game where the GM has their own trifold pamphlet, and the characters have theirs as well. And I really love it. It's very, very rules light. It's made to be like a one shot. I think I just said that, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Cool. Yeah. So Cyber plus Punk is a tabletop RPG for one shot sessions in the cyberpunk genre. Your character's going to play, your player character's going to play as a group of runners, where you're basically, you know, the scum and villainy that live on the edge of society, that are doing jobs for their, you know, ultra lords or whatever. And the feel of it's just really fantastic. You know, like your runners deal with an operator that like they're deniable assets and could die at any time. And like, I'm a huge fan of Shadowrun, except I hate the rules. And this really scratches that kind of Shadowrun itch for me. So with the new version, it looks like they have cleaned up some of the rules. They've changed approach and skills to attributes and actions. There are no playbooks. Like there are in Forged in the Dark, you kind of have character classes. There's not that. You kind of just like pick what you want to do and you put your stats where you want to go. They have cleaned up how epilogues work. And you know, it comes in this fucking super stylish ass box. And you know, I'm a little bitch for stylish ass boxes. You can ask the iWizard. But yeah, so it's an incredibly affordable project. For $8, you can get the digital version, which is awesome, which includes the GM guide, player pamphlet, framework, and then a couple of the additions. And then for $16, I believe you get, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what the difference between 16 and 8 is. Unlock stretch goals. No, they both unlock stretch goals. I don't know. But then there's the $30 one, which is where I backed at, which gets you all of the physical stuff. So you get 8 pamphlets altogether. You get 1 for GMs. You get 4 for players, so each of your players can have their own. You get the framework, the DTR, and then the plus weird, which we'll go over in a second, for $30. Super duper affordable. One of the things I really like about this project is it really blends like the actual use of technology. Like there's audio files that come with this one of all the announcements for one of the adventures. One of the ones they actually just released that's not quite tied with this one has you scan like QR codes and like figure out passwords to access these Google Drive files. It's really great. I really love the feel. I like that's rules like, and I like that's very one-shotty. One thing I am very excited about for this one, they added what they called plus weird, which is kind of their take on Shadowrun. You can add in some weird magic, psionic mutations, and like some otherworldly stuff. Like if you really do want to play a one shot of Shadowrun without having to roll a bunch of fucking dice pools, which I really absolutely do. At this point, they've unlocked all of their stretch goals. So they have Mind the Gap, which is an adventure. Cyberpunk Hunters, which is a new set of challenges and dynamic rewards. Also using some pre-made operatives, kind of focus characters and help quick start rules. And then Mona Rise, which is I think it's just kind of like an urban sprawl adventure. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff for $30. It's really quick and easy to run. And I just really love it. I love the aesthetic of it. I think their presentation is so cool. And going through the original version, it reads really well and it looks like a lot of fun. So I'm stoked about this one.
I'm so stoked for it. So
I think they have like 10 days left. So actually, if you're listening to this, they might have time left. And if you run a group like I do, where like everyone's really moving away from long form games, you're looking for one shot stuff. This and then Tiny Tome, man, like you get these things, you guys would have months of games. So.
Well, and there's a lot of cyberpunk stuff out there, including Cyberpunk. But for something that's really crisp and clean, I mean, if you play the original game, like you said, it's one pamphlet for players, one pamphlet for GMs, and that's it. And we've both talked about this a bunch. I'm wrapping up a 2.5-year campaign, and I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
So real quick to talk about the difference between the Scout $8 pledge and the Skilled $16 pledge. It looks like the $8 pledge is a financial hardship pledge.
Nice.
So
okay, cool.
Yeah,
always cool.
Which is great. We love that.
Yeah.
We've talked about one of the reasons.
Wow, I totally missed that part. You're right.
One of the reasons we put value as a score in a lot of our reviews is if it can't afford to play the game, then your game is not going to go very far. So having community copies and stuff is great.
Be an expensive hobby, like maybe not as much as like Warhammer, like tactical war games, but like books fucking get expensive. They do. Also, they take up space, and like space when you live in a smaller space, which I have before, is incredibly limited. And this thing is like a micro box that contains just a ton of shit. God. Man.
The box looks absolutely stunning. How it kind of like folds into itself and like slots into a box. I am really excited
though because the these pamphlets are 8-panel, 4 on the front, 4 on the back, and the original ones are 6-panel. So they added 2 new panels to everything, which means they added some stuff. But that's still like very, very compact. I'm in love with this project. So
the aesthetic is amazing. The art looks gorgeous. The PRDTR is Predator, which looks absolutely stunning. Predator. I love Predator. Yeah. There's a tag on it that says "Get to the dropship," which is amazing.
Funny, dude. I totally I blew past that. I apologize. But that's so fucking funny. I mean, they definitely really know what they're about. Like thematically,
100%. And the plus weird looks sick. Being able to do like a magic tech dystopia looks really cool. And again, and we say his name all the time on here, Tony Vicento, plus 1 EXP, just did the other day a
they did an AP, didn't they?
They did an AP with the Cyberpunk creators. So
we're like big fans of plus 1 XP, Like,
we should at some point we should say hi. We should say hi.
We should actually greet them because like we retweet each other all the time, and I like I back all their projects. I'm like I really like these guys. So
it's interesting. We have a lot of people like that I think that's just Twitter in general that like would retweet us and we retweet them and then we've never had any contact with, but it's just like cool. Like we're good. Anyway, Cyberpunk looks sick. Super excited for this. And like you said, super really inexpensive for what looks like a really gorgeous, amazing project. So I think the last thing that I have to talk about today is a really interesting project over on GameFound instead of Kickstarter. This is Crawling Death Below the Dying Forest, a third-party Merkborg book. This is from, and why is it escaping? This is from the creator of Vastgrim. I don't know if you know Vastgrim. It is the Merkborg in space that is it Infinite Black? Yes, Infinite Black. They did. I mean, I backed Infinite Black. The first thing I ever backed by Infinite Black was the Cthulhu dice boxes and dice sets that I spent way too much money on. I think they're just off screen back there, but they are gorgeous. But they put out Vastgrim on GameFound, with Brian Collin, who is the creator of this. And what Crawling Death Below the Dying Forest is, it's the creaky, rotting trees devoid of color that make up the dying forest that lie between the Bergen Crypt and the Unfortunate Dead. In the Valley of the Unfortunate Dead. At the far edges of the forest, on the outskirts of those regions, are entries into a cavernous tunnel system that can allow those who dare not travel through the trees to make their way beneath them. Deep inside lies wealth beyond comprehension, all-powerful magics, and an ancient evil that must be stopped. What's really interesting about this, we actually got a like a preview, review, like copy of this in a press kit from the creator. Super cool guy. It is, first of all, the art's amazing. And we'll get to that again in a second. The cover is really interesting.
Yeah, it's a really cool cover.
Yeah, even more so when you know a little bit more about it. But what's a cool thing about the project is that the dungeon underneath is an ever-shifting dungeon crawl, because it's 55 rooms that you randomly roll as you go, or prior if you want to create the dungeon scenario that you want.
That's so wild.
So it's actually replayable if you know, I mean, obviously the final boss and stuff like that will be a little bit different, but it's 55 randomly generated rooms to play the game in. 48-page hardcover book, rules for randomly generating the crawl, 4 adventure hooks, 10 rumors, 12 creatures, 3 factions, 6 scrolls. You got relics, traps, infections, treasure tables, all sorts of really, really cool stuff. And the hardback is only $20 right now. The project itself is already funded on GameFound, which is awesome to see projects funded off of Kickstarter. They're actually working their way towards stretch goals at this point. But it
is interesting to see them on GameFound, because it's like it's a board game site. Like the majority of the stuff on here is like it's a board game site.
But more and more non-board game projects being funded, because we both know that Cyber Metal funded, and Cyber Metal was on GameFound.
Very true.
Vastgrim was on GameFound. So more and more projects are moving towards GameFound, and it'll be really interesting. It'd be cool if GameFound became like a kind of haven for ttrpg creators, and it'd be like board game and ttrpg as like a primary focus. And because Kickstarter, we love Kickstarter, but realistically, like 95% of Kickstarter is not indie games.
Or I've heard a lot of creators say that like Kickstarter doesn't provide them with the tools that they need, which I don't know what those are, because I've never had to play the game on Kickstarter, but I believe them. So, but
Kickstarter is also not available in all countries and stuff either. So a lot of creators can't actually do their projects. Yeah. The hardcover of this is only $20. The digital is only $10. There's a retailer pledge, but there are stretch goals and extra stuff. Like there's a VTT pack, which looks great. VTT assets. You can actually get a patch, comes with free when you back it. And this is what's really, really interesting, and it's already sold. But the original sculpture board, it's a panel board that's sculpted on it, is the image from the cover of the game. So they actually took this creature that they did this really, really interesting art on and used that with some digital, obviously, editing to put it on the cover, which is really, really interesting. The other thing that's really cool about this, too, is that Brian Collin, his children are part of the project, too. I'm not going to... If he mentions the names on the project, that's fine, and the press kit is mentioned here. But it actually says that he created this with his children, and they helped him come up with, like, playtest it and come up with the decks and things like that. So really, really interesting to have that.
That's really cool.
We also saw that a little bit, too, with Kevin Rachman. How he had his kids. He said
his kids made the worst monsters than he did.
Yeah. Kids are fucked up, man. Kids are fucked up. Yeah, friends of the show, Kevin Rachman. So
I like that
again,
guy.
Yeah. Oh, love.
Yeah.
We have been so lucky that everyone we've had on has just been
really
such
fucking cool people.
A cool, You know, Johan, Kevin, Max, all really, really great friends of the show.
Man. I'm a fucking massive Max Moon fan.
Yeah. All of them. So yeah, looks like a really, really amazing project. It's fun. Like I said, I actually have a preview copy of this. He sent me a link that has the initial draft of it. It's really fucking cool. Like, it's
Cool.
really fucking cool. And as like we were talking about with Run to one shot adventures, easy to do that because you could really pick how many different rooms you want. If you want to have it be like a huge dungeon crawl, there's 55 rooms.
Yeah.
You don't even have to randomly, I mean, you could just pick the order that you want to do them in. But if you only want to run like a 5-room dungeon, boom, just roll up 5 rooms and go. Super, super cool. And the option for all of the digital assets, you know, obviously we're big fans of because it's 2022. Pandemic is still going on despite what most of the world thinks. So the option for only to spend $17 to get a VTT package with the VTT assets, really cool add-on to that. Yeah, they are very close to a bonus adventure.
The pandemic's over.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah, the news told me the pandemic's over. So,
another fun thing. I don't know if you've heard of this guy before, but Tony Vicenda plus 20 XP did an actual play with not only Brian Collin, but I believe it was with one of the guys from Nerdarchy, Dave, and friend of the show, Johan Noor. Johan Noor.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So another really, really cool AP of that. So pretty much everything that we have, you can go also go watch on plus 1 XP if you want to check that out. So there's the kids, Wyatt and Ruby. Like I said, I didn't want to, and Walton Wood is attached to the project too. And if anyone who knows anything about Merc Borg on Twitter, Walton Wood is his name is all over all of it for editing for a lot of Merc Borg projects. So that is, I believe it's our Kickstart the Podcast for the episode today. That's our
Kickstart podcast. We did it.
Yeah.
Good job, everyone.
Yeah. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Definitely go check all this stuff out. And we are going to be heading into our game for the day. I'm just going to go ahead and kick over that and X this window out. We are going to be going over
Transition
to Gun and Slinger by Nevyn Holmes. So Holmes Slice. You introduced me to the game. I have read it. We talked about it. It's interesting. I have mixed feelings.
Yeah, this is definitely not a you game. This is not a you game at all in almost any aspect, actually. So
not really. Listen, so here it's not necessarily not a me game.
Ryan's a hater, y'all.
I'm not a hater. I don't hate the game. It's interesting, and I'm not. This is one of those games where I feel like I need to play it because I don't feel like I can. Usually with dice mechanics, even if we haven't really played that mechanic, we've rolled dice before, right? With a card-based game like this, I have no frame of reference whatsoever for how this is balanced at all. So it's really difficult to judge. Not to judge, to form an opinion. I'm for anyone that knows me, shocker to a lot of people, I'm going to say this right now. I have strong opinions about things. What? Right?
You're usually so carefree.
I know, but what I like is to be well informed before I create an opinion. And then when I feel well informed enough, I create a strong opinion. I do not feel that in any way, shape, or form I am informed about this until we're able to sit down and play it together.
Yeah, I have actually I've read this. I got this like before Christmas, I think. I got it in like November or something. And I've read it several times and I haven't had the opportunity to run it. I tried to run it with that D&D group I was with because everyone bailed one night except 2 guys. And I was like, oh, perfect, guys. I got a perfect game. And then they both bailed. Dude, I got special playing cards, special Western. I wonder if they're right here. They're not right here, but I got Western ass playing cards for this. So
we'll run it. What's cool about this too, and we'll get to it later as we continue to go through it. This Gun and Slinger is not just Gun and Slinger. There's actually it's just 3, right? It's 3 extra because it's 4 total games.
There are the stretch goals from the original Kickstarter project.
That's what. Okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah. So Gun and Slinger is the project, but then the Kickstarter goals were Sword and Blade. Or sorry, a Sword and Bear.
Sword and Bear, yeah.
Was it Demon and Host or Possessed?
I think this one's just Demon. I think that's the only one that's not an and. I think it's just called Demon.
Mech and Pilot.
Mech and Pilot, yeah.
Which are actually all pretty good. I don't know if you read all of them.
Really, I actually did.
Yeah, they're really good.
So. All of them are really good. And I mean, I'll save what I was just fixing to say until later.
Yeah.
But anyway, why don't you go ahead and lead us off here with Gun and Slinger? Go for it.
I'm gonna cough a lot today, y'all. I can't even tell you. All right, Gun and Slinger. We can just go ahead and scroll all the way down past this table of contents that is no way hyperlinked, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, Gun and Slinger. Gun and Slinger is an RPG geared for short, episodic sessions about a weapon and a wanderer. A maestro and 2 players, Gun and Slinger, set out into a dead planet mutated by a god's forgotten child and hunt strange bounties, investigate the world, and unlock hidden powers. During play, they seek to learn the nature of what's hunting the Slinger, figure out why the gun is sentient, and discover how the world died. That's right. One of you guys plays as a sentient fucking gun, and that is pretty okay. I'm pretty okay with that. It reminds me of you ever watch Soul Eater?
No.
Oh, you haven't? It's a great anime. But the weapons are alive. I mean, they're actually people turn into weapons in that.
The only thing I know about Soul Eater is that the anime is very different than the manga, is all I've heard. And apparently the Soul Eater anime happens in the same world as Fire Force, which is also an anime I don't really care to watch.
Oh, it's okay. I've watched most of Fire Force. It's fine. But yeah, I will say that the manga of Soul Eater is probably better, but the show is still really good. And short. I love a short anime, you know? Yeah. So moving on to this. What's up?
I'm trying to move on. My cursor turned into a zoomer on Adobe here, and I can't figure out how to get it back to a cursor.
Oh, that's cute. Just click maybe. I don't know.
But if I click, it becomes a.
When your key stuck on your keyboard.
No, like I clicked this thing here, and it became like a zoomy boy, and now the zoomy boy won't stop being a zoomy boy.
Technical difficulties. We're gonna cut
here we
this.
Go.
There we go. We're gonna cut that part out.
I love that we always say we're gonna cut it out, and I absolutely will not edit this out.
Nothing's ever been cut from a show ever.
This is a pro, not a con here, guys. You get us raw.
Oh, you know, yeah, this is 100% honest to us, you know?
Yeah, you all like this high production value, high end shows. Plenty of those out there.
Is what you're saying.
Plenty of those out there. Yeah, what you get from us is real life, real. Anyway, go for it. Yeah,
brother. Okay, so we're gonna scroll down to the page that says eons ago. I actually don't know if you're there because I'm watching the stream and it lags just a tad. There we go. We're doing it.
So first of all, let's real quick, as I bring up the spread, I know you just read this part. The art. Interesting.
I like this a lot.
It's interesting.
I love like very minimalist, like this kind of pencil sketch thing they got going on. Where it's just like exactly this ruins and these like this fucking just hill that has something all over it that's like brush, but like the whole part of this world is that everything's kind of odd and it's like eating itself, and like it's a mix of like there's desert, there's forest, but everything's been kind of fucked up by the twist, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I really dig this. It's clearly very like it looks like someone drew it out in pencil and then inked over it, but didn't erase the pencil lines, which it does add a really interesting thing to it. Yeah. But on top of that are these like graphic-y kind of like ornamentations, like these leafy bits, and then the gun and slinger in a really interesting font over top of it in this cool pink color, because otherwise it's all black and white. So there's like a pop to it with this really interesting kind of like very lo-fi art. Which super,
it's
super
a
cool.
Really good page. I actually think no, that's not the page I have behind me, but yeah, I really like this piece. So, and there's a lot of art pieces we're gonna go through, and I think they're really cool. And actually, this next fucking page has one. Real quick before we start reading it, can we just appreciate the like ornamental like frame that it has, and then this fucking symbol on here, which we see pop up a lot, and has something to do with something. And I don't remember if it says it in there because I've read this several times, and I don't remember anything ever, but I just really like this fucking symbol with the eye, with all the hands, and then like it's really cool. Yeah. So, eons ago, the sky shattered and something ate the moon's stars, leaving us with only our sun, small cluster of planets, and a new twisted moon. Something birthed from the Sky Eater fell to our planet and began to twist and warp it. It was the end of our world before anyone living could remember. So at some point in time, a like pseudo evil god ate all of the universe, and all that's left is the planet you're on, a couple planets around it, and the moon, which is now dark and twisted. And now there's the world itself is slowly becoming dark and twisted as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're on spreads. Fantastic. Now many
there's only
generations
spreads
later,
option. Listen,
there's only spreads option. Fantastic. I only care about spreads.
I knock immediately on functionality. Give me fucking pages.
That is, that's fair. If I was reading this on my phone, it'd be a big pain in the ass. But
Yeah.
I'm a big boy and got the physical.
Yeah, it's a nice looking book too. Oh, the cover art is sick.
Really, the book is fantastically put together. The quality of the pages is really good. They're like it's got a glossy cover, and then the actual paper quality is really good. Yeah, sorry, we should have gone over that first. We usually do, and I totally forgot because I'm the one today who has the physical copy. Usually it's you.
I do not have physical copies of this one.
Now many generations later, our people's remnants wander the twisted land and fight the bioluminescent night-crawling creatures searching our castles and city ruins for ancient magic and technology to help us survive. The brave and hopeful work to keep our pocket-sized towns together and alive. Now, many years after our stars were devoured, you find yourself searching the ruins with your new partner. I hope you find what you're looking for. I really like this. This really calls back to kind of Stephen King's The Gunslinger, in which like there's castles and there's cities, but everything's fucking ruined. I mean, there it's like demons and shit and like the Red King, but here you have like the twist. And it's like the world, like the universe is terrible and everything's kind of falling apart. But there's still like callbacks to the old times, the ancient lands.
Yeah, it's the Dark Tower series, right?
Yeah, the Dark Tower series. Yeah.
So I think I might have read maybe the first two, maybe it was just one, and I really liked it, but I never finished them, and it's something that's always been like at the top of my list because it's really interesting. Dark Tower is definitely right up my alley for what I want. And we'll talk about this as we go.
What's crazy is that like, if we had the time, I could go through book by book of Stephen King and tell you which ones are linked to the Dark Tower and which ones aren't. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, like 75% of all Stephen King novels are directly linked to the Dark Tower.
That's interesting. I gotta read it at some point.
It is really super interesting. I'm like, I don't think Stephen King's like my favorite writer ever, but I do like the fact that they're so linked so subtly all the time. But moving on to the next page, unless you had anything, Ryan.
No.
All right, cool. We got safety tools. We love to see them. We got lines, veils, your hard boundaries, your fade to blacks, the X card. We don't always deep dive these pages, but we will always stop and go, hey, you should have these discussions with your players. And if you think it's not important, you're an asshole. Like you don't know what someone's been through and you can never assume. Like man, woman, whatever. Like you cannot assume what they have experienced in their life. It is fair to say, hey, this game might have these themes in them. How would you guys feel about that? Will it bother you? And if so, we will not have them in the game. What does bother you in the game? What do you think you're going to come across that'll bother you? Because people are allowed to have their trauma and are allowed to, and we should be, conscious of that,
Exactly.
You should be a fucking human. Be a person, damn it.
Yeah, not a fascist. Fuck you. Yeah,
don't be a fascist. The first true human quality is empathy, y'all. Cool. We got some acknowledgments and the genre land. So the acknowledgments are about the genre land, I think, are the part we're going to go over. Actually, let's go over all of it. Acknowledgments really talks about like how this is an open format game to everybody and everyone's respected. Like every expression of sexuality, culture, gender, and ability, etc., is respected to the fullest extent. Love that shit, bro. I straight love that shit. When you sit down and play Gunslinger, I'm going to read this part. You agree to punch fascists and stomp on bigotry. You respect your fellow players and their needs, concerns, and traumas. And at any point, for any reason, the player can veto narrative elements, even if you spent something or drew cards. Do not use my word to justify harming others. Entertainment and safety above all. Fucking love it. Fucking love it. Yeah, I'm all about
quick
this
side
shit.
note on that, just in general, is this is what I don't get with some people, especially grognards and like the fascist fuckhead side of the TTRPG scene. It's entertainment and for everybody, right? If I'm not having a good time, why like that's what a game is. It's for us all to have fun and have a good time. And your version of how you want things to go in your head is whatever. That's your head. But if I'm not having a good time because of the way that you're treating me or somebody else, what the fuck's the point of? It's not a game. It's just you being a fuckbag. You know what I mean? So like, this is one of the concepts that just, I guess, like, as normal human beings, you and me, right? Man, you know, that treat other people as normal human beings.
Heard some fucking like TTRPG. It's weird because, you know, I've always played at tables. I think other than maybe the first table I ever played at, but there was never an incident to incite that one buff dude, you know what I'm talking about? His insensitivity towards people's traumas. But like, other than that, like, you know, actually a lot of my tables have been pretty LGBTQ as well. So maybe that's why I'm not really like, I've never really come across it. Man, I've read some fucking horror stories, dude.
Why would you even play with those people? It's not fun. It's not like, it's a game.
Actually, I'm a firm believer that no TTRPGs, like playing none at all, is more fun than playing a toxic. So
of course it is. Doing anything. If you do, if there's something that you absolutely love to do, and then you do it with someone who makes you feel like shit doing it, you're not gonna love that thing. Anyway, that's the quick aside.
Genre and land. So a big thing that they're gonna talk about here is that this is technically a Western. And the Western genre, I'll read it actually, was forged from American colonialism. Colonialism's brutal expansion is a terrible time, leaving deep scars and repercussions across the nation and our pop culture that still reverberates today. Our team members would like to, I'm going to read all this because this is a good part. Usually I would just reference this, but to respect what they're talking about, we're going to fucking read it. Our team members would like to thank the owners of the land we live on as we worked on our project, such as the nations of, I'm going to fucking pronounce these, but there were a lot of Native American tribes of Eastern Texas, as well as a fucking lot of they name the Native American tribes for Eastern Texas, New Jersey, and North Illinois and North Carolina, where they all live as they're working on this. And I love that they just give them a shout out. Because that's, you know, we do live on native. I mean, I live in Texas. It's like
you live on stolen land.
I live on fucking stolen land. I live on North Texas. It's the most stolen land. Our dearest wishes for our project are for our project to separate the Western genre from its long history, celebrating ideals of genocide and colonialism, bringing a more positive and creative energy for a healthier experience while still acknowledging associated issues. We've worked diligently towards this and hope you all will all enjoy. My bad. And it's just, you know, a lot of this is acknowledging that, you know, Western is about the other, fighting the other, taming wilderness, and that those are not the elements that they want to focus on. And I think that's really beautiful. Thank you for the shout out them for post this in here. I think it's great. So.
Yeah, I think it's a great page. I think it's necessary. So I really like that. There's some of the other Westerns. I'm gonna send Agamemnon say things, think of them right off the top of my head. Try to do the same thing where it's like there are popular tropes, and we are talking about some aspects of it while not celebrating, you know, the clear issues of that time period.
There's a lot of tropes of Westerns that are enjoyable to play, but the whole fucking killing natives and you know, and beating back wilderness is not. That shit is not tight, homie. If your dream is to get in the game and kill natives, you need to go to therapy. And I'm not saying that as an asshole. I really mean it. It'll make you happier in life. So moving on to agendas, baby. Agendas. Gun and Slinger. Put yourself in danger. Search for what you want. Leave people with stories to tell. Gun. Be an extension of the Slinger's arm and an agent of the strange. Slinger. Be the hammer that sparks the gun and an agent of change. Maestro, use the twist. Interestingly, create intrigue and drama, make the world threatening. Together, do what's most important, learn about the world, escalate imminent dangers. They want you to put yourself in danger in this, and I love that.
Oh, yeah.
And we have this
and that's what.
Oh
no! So real quick, that's what because it's a 3-player game. Real, I mean, it can be a 2, but it's 3. So what you're just saying with the agenda is basically the agenda is this is like the one line what your kind of responsibility, quote unquote, as a game is, because the gun is a player, the slinger's a player, and the maestro is the DMGM or whatever in
but it's a lot. The storytelling in this is a lot more cooperative, and so the maestro, the maestro is very much a player in this.
They're more like I like when some games call them the referee instead of like a dungeon master. They're not controlling their narrative. They're just kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? They are adjudicating.
Actually, I think DM stands for Dookie Monster.
Yeah, we talked about this before. It is Dookie.
Yeah, it's Dookie Monster.
But the maestro basically just adjudicates the decision making. They get to flip the cards and run the bad guys based on the stats and stuff like that. It's not, but like you said, it's group narrative versus someone like creating a scenario and then trying to like guide people through it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I
really love that.
Yeah.
And like the art. So the art on this page, I love. This is a very incredibly well drawn.
One of my favorite pieces in the whole book.
Rifle. It looks. So you talk about the rifle or the one on the right side? Because the rifle is beautiful.
Rifle's cool. One on the right side, one of the best.
No, the one on the right side. I'm gonna get there, but I just want us to all give it up for like the stippling, the little dots on the barrel and stuff. Oh, it's fantastic. But on the right side, we have this fucking awesome, strange beast, and it's such a great the twist is the enemy in this game, and this is a great representation. It's like very colorful, like pink white on this black backdrop because the twist comes out at night. And it's fucking cool. I really like the setting of this game. I really do. Yeah, cool. Moving forward, the world. And we have another one of these drawings. You having a hard time scrolling again? Are you doing it?
I did it.
I didn't know. I lag. I can't actually tell.
Stop lagging, bro.
We have another great I like that it's the full spread of this drawing of this campsite with a rifle rested to the side, and I don't know. I really like this. I think it's really cool. It really sets that kind of westerny mood and tone.
It does. Mm-hmm.
So going on to setting elements. Pardon me. Gun and Slinger takes place on a planet very different from our own. Eons after a cataclysmic event, people continued struggling to survive. There are no stars, only the sun and the new twisted moon. Castles, cities, and townships, remnants are half buried in dirt and sand. Ghosts wander the ruins and cracks. Golden age magic and technology lie beneath it all, waiting to be exhumed and awoken. Some people search for the historical pieces and others claim them. Yeah, I like this. It is very, very Dark Tower-esque. Days and nights. Days are vibrant. The last sun feeds all the plant life and it reaches. The green rolling hills thrive, drinking up sunlight and waving in the breeze. Life unmarred by the twist is beautiful and sustained. The nights though, are dim, illuminated only by the omnipresent pale blue moon. Twisted bioluminescent beasts wander and hunt, claimed by the twist, their designs extrapolated to grotesque degrees. Whether extra appendages, constantly drooling thick ichor, or additionally misplaced mouths and eyes, these hostile creatures are animated by the twist's strange new instinct. In a single word, they're wrong. Much the moon touches twists over time, and whatever the Sky Eater left is claiming and reshaping things, forms, and life. Most travel by day whenever possible. Even then, there's no guarantee of safety from the twist. So the twist is slowly polluting the world, and I really like that. It's just this weird, it's just wrong. If you come across twist creatures, they're wrong. They feel wrong. They're not natural parts of the world. I like that there's but during the day, you can go out and there's green rolling hills, there's forests, it's beautiful. There's still life out there. But there's also the other life.
Yeah, but it's the moon that's projecting the twist, right?
Yeah, the moon like it slowly pushes the twist to grow. Yeah.
Okay,
so
it
pale blue
feeds
moon.
the twist. Okay.
Yeah. Lands and graves of the past. Long ago, this planet pulsed with life. Neither you nor anyone you know was around, but you see prior society's artifacts on your travels. Castles choked by moss and ivy, hills reclaiming statues that once stood upon them, crumbling vaults and treasuries whose depths hide secret and ancient magics, decaying infrastructure too advanced to operate. To some, the Golden Age ruins speak of potential, to others, they're a warning. Eons since the sky's death, the land may be beautiful, but it no longer breathes the same life. Green rolling hills reflect with the past remnants, and new civilizations marks from the last couple hundred years are sometimes built in and around the ruins. People live in these distant, civilized pockets, surviving on whatever fertile land is available and cooperating as best they can to survive. The land isn't all green hills and pleasant nature. There are forests of trees and fungus, swamps of twisted creatures, and lakes of twist-touch oil. There are massive canyons, tectonic rips that seem to scream, for as much beauty as the world still holds, the twist is claimed and shifted in equal violent measure. Another theme that they kind of reference at the end, like when they give kind of examples of what the world's like by pop culture, is Nazca, the Valley of the Wind, which is a fantastic film that you should all watch. But it also has there's nature there, but it's like this toxic nature with these gigantic insects that are horrible to watch when you're on acid. Please trust me. But yeah. Ryan, would you like to take the next page so my coffee voice can get a little rest?
Sure, yeah. So this is talking about technology and peoples of the world. Technology, infrastructure, transportation, and the like are a mishmash mix of steam-powered components, recovered and reverse-engineered magitech, and ill-advised attempts at harnessing the pale moon's power. While imperfect, it helped feed stories of the people's past greatness, providing much welcome aid in the fight to transcend mere survival. Travelers by horse, cart, foot, and vehicle, cobbled up low-tech motorcycles and small kit-bash cars, zip from town to ruin and back. Repaired and upcycled trains run on the last remaining rails. People work to recover and improve. Old crafts are passed down, parent to child, evolving as communal knowledge grows. Clothes are a mix of leather, metal, and cloth. Armor looks medieval in some locales, modern in others. If you're lucky, you might even find something magical. People, farm, trade, and craft. Townships do their best to maintain a pleasant relationship with their close neighbors across dangerous wilds, knowing they'll only thrive through collaboration. Some mercenaries, bounty hunters, and others hired for coin often make or protect run between cities. Providing the coins right, nothing's really off the table. Based on remnants, it seems people traveled off-planet, as made evident by a few massive crash, reclaimed, or hidden rockets. Presently, space travel, even short distance to the sister planet, almost never happens. Most even provided means. Almost never. Yeah. Most even provided means fear the sky. Even if you find someone able, the cost for them to be willing is very high. And what is magitech? Magical technology. Magitech is a fusion of traditional technology like circuits, steam, electrical currents, massive machinery with reclaimed magical remnants. They're more efficient and can do things in unusual ways. And Gun and Slinger is essentially a way to create interesting anachronistic technology attributable to magic in the long past golden age. It's our equivalent of a wizard did it. Use it to make cool shit exist in your world. So I'll say from the beginning, when I first read this, and you said that it's not a game for me, I disagree to an extent in that it's dark and fucked up, which, is my bag. But when I first read this, it felt very, maybe anachronistic's the word.
Yeah.
Technology in my head.
Mismatched to time.
Not even mismatched to time. It felt like the whole, bits and pieces were cobbled together to create a setting. And I was just like, I don't see how these things all go together. It's not fitting well in my head. And I actually think that the reference you made that made it fit better in my head was Trigun.
Oh, dude, this is so, bro. When I read this about mercenaries, like protecting runs between city, I just remember the episode Trigun, with big neon lights or whatever. I'll look it up. And like I will tell you right now, like that would be one of the first adventures I put you guys on if you were on this.
Yeah, that made it a lot easier because
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that made it a lot easier in my head to put this together because, like we said, I haven't really read. You said that this is super Dark Tower. Like this feels very Gunslinger.
Admittedly, like I haven't read the Dark Tower. I've actually gone over the synopsis for every book.
Interesting.
And I've read the comics as well because I wanted to read the comic books.
But yeah, when you said as soon as you said Trigun, I'm like, oh, okay, I get the Western space thing now. Now this makes sense. There is a page later that has like a like touchstones where it's like this is this and this.
Yeah.
We'll get to it. And I'll give my opinion on that a little bit later. But so those reading it to make this page, in case it didn't make sense to you or when you're reading it doesn't, Trigun was my touchstone that made a lot of this be like, aha, clicked. So
I think that there's a lot going on here, but in my head, I see how it fits together. And like even Magitech feels kind of tacked on, but it's a way for you to super occasionally add a piece that's just like, oh yeah, this is ancient Magitech. Doesn't matter how it works, you know? Like for me, Magitech would not exist a lot. A really great example of Magitech that you get from the Go is the gun. The gun is a sentient fucking magic weapon. Like there's no way it's not Magitech, you know? But it doesn't say that necessarily. But that could be part of the adventures, figuring it out. But yeah, also, man, I'm just gonna go back to when you get to play as a sentient gun, and that's the coolest shit ever. So yeah, you want to keep going? You got a little more in you?
Yeah, got a little bit more in me here. Factions and threats. There are a few things that are, without a doubt, threats and antagonists to the world's peoples. Firstly, the twist. And all it has claimed. Malevolent monsters, furious flora, and troublesome titanic beings make the wilds dangerous. The twist can influence everything, anywhere, and can even shape the world. It's constantly working towards some unknowable goal. The various independent assemblages beyond a township or city's general populace, bandits, mercenary companies, and other freebooters prioritizing their needs before others. Some for money, others for fame, and some simply like the thrill. There are as many of these groups as needed to fill out your world. There are the scholars, curiosities endlessly piqued by the twist. They go to incredible lengths to study it, attempting to decipher its cryptic, unknowable ways. Wizened elders, ecstatic apprentices, and adventurous bookworms. The twist interests all kinds. Though there haven't been any major discoveries, world scholars are unyielding in their hunt for knowledge. I love this section coming up too. This is like one of my favorite parts. Not all scholars study the twist in isolation. Many study its effects on things to varying degrees. They take titles related to their specific objects of study, always appended with the suffix keeper. These titles are collectively agreed upon by scholarly societies. Examples: Greenskeeper studies nature, Twistkeeper studies the twist in depth, Mindkeeper studies the twist mental effects and general mental health. I love that because it's one of those things, and I'm not going to be able to think of the word, that settles the world better. Like, it's very specific, and you go, okay, this isn't just like a broad thing or something like that. This feels like something very specific to that world, and helps with my immersion into that world. Right.
Gotcha. So. And then real quick, we've kind of been flying through, but there's a lot of really good just art on these pages. Even the pages before that have the Magitech and the little cart has this weird like robot sketch in the cart, and the one we're just on has like a moon and a gun and some like weird fucking plants. Really fantastic. So, God bless this cough. I wish it would go away. Cool.
Can we keep going? Are you good?
No, I'm actually going to read a little bit. So
sure.
This is a hunter main one today. So I'm gonna do a lot of the reading because I really like this game, and now rereading it again. I reread it yesterday, the first time in like a month, and I was like, I really like this. Now reading it aloud, I'm like, oh yeah, I really fucking like this setting. I just think I think there's a lot going on in this setting, but I think it really I could make it go together well. I think it goes together well, and it gives you a lot of tools for different. Like I never run out of stuff for you guys to run into, you know. Right. And as we get deeper in, there's a lot more stuff you gotta run into. Cool. Touchstones and tone. There's a lot of room to play in GNS's setting. There are no provided cities, landmarks, or creatures. Your worlds, places, people, and possibilities are created collaboratively by everyone at the table and discovered through play. There are a few key aspects of the game world to keep in mind. So some touchstones. We have the beautiful and strange nature of Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Fantastic. The ancient civilization remnants and magic of The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Totally makes sense. There's Magitech in that game, but it's not necessarily like, there's not like a ton of magic, you know? Trigun's alien landscapes, struggles, and destructive nature, and fighting for survival in harsh lands. Pitch Black's horrifying darkness and violent monsters. Subnautica's alien flora and fauna, both massive and minuscule. Outer Wilds' unsubtle existentialism and fireside guitar plucking. That's a good one too. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I wasn't gonna say anything. This was the touchstones page I was talking about, though. That I said, like, this is the page of.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna say something about this. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like it, but I have to say, when I read it, it didn't. Maybe I would have put touchstones a little bit earlier, or something like that, because I know I read the part about Trigun, but until you actually said, because I was like complaining, I was like, why does this feel a bit cobbled together? And you're like, because I was like, well, it's Western kind of, and there's horses and kind of, but then suddenly there's spaceships, and you're like, yeah, like Trigun, and I'm like, oh, yeah, made a little bit more sense. So.
For me, the only one that doesn't work here is Pitch Black.
I think why?
I just maybe it be, and here's the thing: is like this game is very, very up to interpretation. For me, the Pitch Black monsters are not the same as like what I see in my head of these neon twist monsters. But like, I guess I get like the horrifying darkness and violent monsters. I guess I do get.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is like when the whole concept of like you can kind of travel during the day, but when darkness falls, you're kind of fucked. I think that's kind of yeah. Also, though, when it talks about the Trigun reference, alien landscapes struggle with destructive nature and fighting for survival in harsh lands. Again, like that's not the part of Trigun that made this settle in my head better. Like the part of Trigun that made this settle in my head better was the like it feels Western, but there's clearly like technology involved, including like space travel, and you're kind of on this kind of like almost forgotten place. Was a little bit better. So maybe that's what it was. Maybe there's different aspects of the touchstones that I think would have been better captured. Yeah.
So moving on. At its heart, GNS's world is one of survival, mystery, and danger. Civilization has stabilized in isolated pockets within a hostile landscape. Your game may only have one major city. You decide. Travel between locations is slow and arduous. People walk, ride, horses, and even ride machines cobbled together from weird magical remnants and janky technology. And because I love them, and for no other reason, motorcycles exist. I'm good with that. It just feels like a setting that could have motorcycles in it. I could just see the gun and Slinger like riding their motorcycle across the land, you know, for a bit. Like that sounds fucking tight. The world in general is pretty dangerous. Roaming nighttime creatures are far from the only threat. There are dangerous flora and fauna remnants, remnant magical actual ghosts of varying hostility and bandits, or even ruthless shithead leaders. Everyone fights to stay alive. I like that they reference ghosts. I would love to see a fucking like a ghost adventure in this game, you know?
You know what it also kind of reminds me of a little bit, in a very like disregard the main character, but look at the world, is Vampire Hunter D.
I still haven't seen Vampire Hunter D.
Okay. Well, primarily light novels, but if you're an awful person for not watching, I believe it's called Bloodlust. It's a 2008 Vampire Hunter D movie. Oh. It is one of my just favorite pieces of animation or anything at all. It's absolutely stunning. You can watch it on YouTube, but it's basically, super long story short, like vampires take over the world and it's like 10,000 years in the future, or vampires are even having like spaceships to fly off into space and shit like that.
Hell yeah.
But there's like fucked up evil monsters and stuff. And there's like in Bloodlust, there's like mercenaries, and he travels on like a horse across the thing, but the horse got a demonic and stuff like that. So that actually was like a touchstone for me when I was reading this, where I was like, this feels very Vampire Hunter-y, and that's kind of the game that I would run a little bit with it
Very
too.
cool.
But yeah.
Yeah. The twist's force crawls across the land, left behind and forgotten by whatever ate the sky. It touches, claims, and mutates what it wants or perhaps needs. It is hard to discern if it has a real goal, runs on instincts, or perhaps something worse. Its goal and their manifestations are discovered and formed through play. It's on every planet in this cluster, taking many forms. It possesses and manipulates anything, organic, inorganic, sapient, or otherwise. It doesn't matter. It takes and reshapes things to fit its desire, whether a swarm of rats, a bandit leader, that's a cool one, or a monstrous human/Venus flytrap hybrid. You decide. Yeah, I like that there is a possibility for there to be a twist human hybrid, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think they give us a monster example later on, which is essentially that. And it's just like, oh yeah, that sounds awful.
Sounds awful. And we're like kind of we're switching over to creatures in the wilds and stuff here for a second. And one of the other things, again, I know maybe I'm sounding a little bit picky on this right now too. I do like this, again, like I said, and with certain touchstones, it feels different. One of the things is in the beginning, it talks about like Western tropes a lot, and this is a Western and stuff like that. To me, realistically, 29 pages in,
not very Western-y.
There's no Western in this whatsoever. Like, you could set this at any time and not really have it be Western.
I actually super agree. I think you could set it. I think the most Western thing is that you're a gunslinger, like a gun.
That's it.
Yeah,
but that's not really. I don't know. It doesn't feel Western. And that was the other thing that like made it feel weird in my head, where I was like, you read the whole beginning and it definitely talks about like, these are Western tropes and we don't want to, talk about but like encourage the bad parts of Western tropes and the entire acknowledgement page, which is great. And then I'm reading it and I'm like, I'm still not hearing any Western.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of Western.
It's very, especially when you talk about like castles and
Magitech and spaceships and stuff like that. I'm like, I get it to an extent, but it's not space Western either. There's no Western involved with it. You know what I mean?
But
so
I'm actually I'm a huge fan of Westerns, except everything that they're about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really do love the genre. I just hate the whole like fighting the natives thing and misogyny, and I hate that shit. But man, I just want to be a gunslinger in the West in a lawless town. Yeah. So. I super agree. I do think the Western part of it gets lost in this. I would have liked a couple more.
A little bit more play.
Oh, okay. Someone just said
someone just said Nevyn Holmes 420.
Not someone.
Hey.
It's specifically not a Western, but uses Western tropes. Okay, that's a better
Which is how I read it. Which is 100% how I read it. And also, hey, thank you for stopping by. So yeah, and again, like when we talked about Trigun and stuff like that, because I wouldn't call Trigun a Western either. I just think there's a lot of like Western tropes in a very kind of like destroyed, left behind, like kind of poor world. Versus calling it like a Western.
Cool. The twist. The twist can always mess with the world's other facets. It can inhabit or change an environment or environmental feature. During setup, you'll establish a few unique ways the twist change your world, but there are two constants. The twist is definitely related to the new moon, that the thing that ate the sky left behind. There's likely more to it than that. The twist owns the night. There are largely nocturnal, bioluminescent flora and fauna. Not all are aggressive, terrible horrors. Some are natural evolutions that soak up the new moonlight. Creatures, the twist touch, and wild. In play, you have free reign to create your own creature and twist manifestations. The twist and the twist touch should be difficult, interesting encounters to keep everyone on their toes. Thanks to how Gunslinger works, twist creatures don't require stats, and their appearance and abilities are infinitely flexible. They could be an entire species or type, singular unique creatures, or even reoccurring baddies. And we have another really cool piece of art. Once again, like this like pencil with like pen over it. That's fucking terrifying, like centipede snake monster. And I really like the
inverted pointy legs.
Yeah,
that just,
yeah, the kind of thing you don't want to see crawling towards you guys.
Oh my god, it's like a
terrible.
giant demonic version of like a silverfish, which like no matter how much I know they're fucking harmless, like is the thing that creeps me. Spiders in my house, I give zero shits. Silverfish in my sink, I'm freaking the fuck out. You know?
Yeah, and I like there's the inverted trees at the top of the page, and up on the left side there's more of this, like there is a piece of art that looks like somebody hunting with their dog in the forest on the page. On the left side, and I like the color's cool when they use the pink the side of the against this, like once again the kind of pencil and pen drawing. I really do like it. Another thing is I really like that the next, like the flora and fauna of the twist doesn't necessarily have to always be evil. Like sometimes it can just be a strange, beautiful thing. And I think it gives you the ability, like if you do get stuck at light at night, to not always have to be horrible. For you to find some like beautiful, gigantic, glowing tree, you know, or whatever, flora and fauna, like gigantic bears or deer roaming the land.
You know what it reminds me of a little bit? And what I also, another thing that I do like about this game is the number of times you can say, this reminds me of this a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a lot of grounding in it. But
dude, I would like running this. There would never be a point where I'm out of ideas, you know? Yeah,
because there's a lot of open options for various different things. The one that I was just going to talk about was Annihilation.
Oh, I still haven't seen that either. Why do you keep naming stuff today I haven't seen?
Bro, see stuff. But Annihilation, it's hard to even describe it, but basically, like, there's this fuckery happening in this, like, bubble thing when they go in. It's super fucking weird creatures, and, like, the forest is, like, it's hard to describe it besides, like, super fucked up and weird and alien and stuff like that. But some of it is, it's just, like, gorgeously weird. And then some of it is, like a weird, giant, like, toothed moose monster that voice sounds like a little kid crying. You know what I mean? Like it's like the twist really that to me is again another touchdown.
That actually sounds like a fucking perfect one. Actually,
you should watch that.
Didn't it win like a bunch of awards too?
I don't know if it won a bunch of awards. It was Netflix, and it had I can't remember what her name is.
Bro, it's got Oscar Isaac and Natalie Portman. Dog, I'm
Natalie
there,
Portman.
Bro.
Love Natalie Portman. And who doesn't love Oscar Isaac?
I watched V for Vendetta last night, bro. I'm on a Portman spree. Okay,
dude,
cool.
Portman, we're gonna side note this all day. Natalie Portman is beautiful, even bald. Isn't that crazy? Like, just
Hey, she's a great Padme Amidala. Okay, moving forward.
No such thing as a great Padme Amidala.
Here are some manifestations I've used. Feel free to use them, and don't hesitate to make your own. Inventing a threat as a group can be good fun. I love gorilla fungus. The gorilla fungus. It's a fucking fungus gorilla. This massive creature lives on the fungal forest outskirts. It's massive, incredibly quick, and transforms its bodily fungal growths into light. Sturdy armor. I didn't mean to pause there. I had to take a little swallow. It's tougher to fight in the forest as the landscape's familiar, and it instinctually gets around faster. I just love that it's a fucking gorilla that's just made of fungus. And that sounds terrifying. And then Bandit and Helldog. And like, I don't know what it is, but this is my favorite. And there's another thing we'll reference later called, I think the thing that hunts the player, that I also kind of see in this very similar vein of this like human twist, like sentient creature. Bandit and Helldog. A bandit leader possessed by the twist gains various gifts, manifesting as deep powers. This is less a twist creature and more a person who made a deal with something they didn't understand. They have a pet Helldog, a 4-foot-tall, fiery hound summoned with an artifact, a small purple coin. The dog has a lash tongue and is almost impossible to outrun on foot. Terrifying. Love it. I love a human that made a deal with something dark and is now a creature of that dark. Have you ever read the Wheel of Time series? You have, right?
You're is that a real question? Are you being
you have, right? I think I heard about it from you first. I can't remember. I was right. I was thinking of Thane from the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
Who like Fane's a lot more complicated because he makes a deal and then something tries to possess him and he becomes way worse.
He becomes like three things. Yeah. For those that aren't watching the podcast, listening to the podcast, I showed my Wheel of Time tattoo. Yeah, so I read it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm reading it for the first time right now, finally, and it's an amazing series. So
real quick, I will say Robert Jordan doesn't know how to write females. That's
super true.
Oh my God, it's hard to read. He
barely knows how to write males. So
yeah. But books like 7 through 9 are a slog. But I will say, for anyone that does want to read it, it's worth reading. And for something that ends in 13,000+ pages, the ending is a total payoff. Absolutely worth it.
Oh, is it really?
Absolutely, loved it.
Amazing.
I was going to be so disappointed. Yeah, because that fucker died.
It, right?
Yeah. One reason I won't read anything by George R. R. Martin, I will not have another rotund, bearded man who doesn't know how to finish a book die before he writes his ending. So yes, Brandon Sanderson, he already had it all outlined out. He had already written the ending. Sanderson just took a couple of years to like fill in the parts that weren't done writing yet. But
we've really gotten off topic a lot in this episode.
I know, it's 2 weeks out.
I know we had 2 weeks off, man. So we're gonna keep going. Read Wheel of Time, like I am. Exploration and daily life. This is a game of exploration and mystery. So you're gonna travel. I almost said you've gonna travel. You're gonna travel to many places. Be sure to name everyone met and every town and outpost visited. Doing so helps build the world. Further realizing it and providing places and people to return with. When visiting a new town, name it and answer, what's the weather like? How are the roads? How do they stay afloat? When meeting a new person, name them and answer, what are their pronouns? What's their worry? And what's their need? A big reason why I haven't really jumped on and playing this game is because I really want to play it with 2 other people who are comfortable with storytelling. Because there's such a collaborative feel to everything you do here, that I want people who are newer TTRPG players and always confident in their decision making to make there's a lot of improv, you know.
Well, it's a lot of this context.
A lot of this is contextual, improv, and I really want 2 of the people to play this who are very comfortable being like, this is this, and I'll be like, fuck yeah, that's that, let's do that, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's hard when you try to get someone like my wife, right, to play a tabletop RPG, say classic, whatever, white medieval Anglo-Saxon bullshit, you know what I mean, standard fantasy fare, who's never read a bunch of fantasy books or watched a bunch of fantasy movies and doesn't understand the tropes at all.
Yeah,
it's hard for them to even know what to do or to have context of the things you're doing at all. So when you play, I love 2d6 games but a lot of that gives a lot of impetus onto both the players and the GM to create. It's hard with new players in those systems when they have no context for you get paralysis of choice. You know what I mean? Because it's I can literally do anything. So what do I do without
choice
some
paralysis
context?
Is definitely a thing.
Yeah. So I completely hear what you're saying. If people that have encountered some of these touchstones and played a narrative game similar to this would be a great people to do this. I think this would be such a fun game to play. And I have this fucking cool deck of cards that I bought just to play this fucking game, and I want to use those goddamn cards. I don't even know where they are right now, frankly. Cool. Doing things and resolution. The player and Maestro are participating in Go Fish, notably modified to fit RPG structure. Love that opening because we all know how to play Go Fish. When a player wants to do something under pressure or with an uncertain outcome, the Maestro can request a check. The player then asks either the Maestro or the other player if they have a particular card. Hey, gun, do you have any 5s? The person who is asked must answer truthfully if they have any cards of that value. They are handed to the petitioner. If not, the asker draws a card from the deck. If at any point someone's hand contains a pair,
2 cards of a match value. It is set face down on the table in front of them. The Maestro does not make pairs, keeping all their hands cards. That reads a lot like a rule to me that came out in playtesting. You know what I mean? Like, I have yet to really I might need to read through the rules as we go through, and there might be a standard reason. But I read that and I was like, oh, you guys figured out something in playtesting, huh? This area is called, or maybe that's a rule of Go Fish that I don't know because I've only played as a child. But this area is called their cache, and pairs remain here until used. Players may peek at their own pairs whenever, but not anyone else's. After the player makes the check, after the player making the check requests a card and either receives or draws one, the Maestro reveals the check's difficulty and cost. This is an easy check. Doing it costs 4. And then the player either pays with a pair, requests a bargain, or accepts failure. A check's cost and occurrence is the Maestro's decision. The Maestro should rely on situational context and their judgment determining when a check is appropriate. Some good heuristics. Why am I having a hard time with words? Yeah. There we go. For requesting a check is when the outcome is uncertain. There is immediate pressure. Failure or mixed success provides interesting narrative outcomes. Important notes about pairs. A pair has its single card value. So a pair of 5s, ace of 5. The total value paid is the pair's value plus your relevant stat. That's right. With pairs, you can add your relevant stat. There we go. You can exceed rather than exactly pay the cost. Other actions happen with checks. See basic moves on page 35. We're going to how to treat stats. And we are going to take what's up? We're going to take, here we go.
Read my fucking mind
today, baby.
Got it.
We're going to take a quick 5-minute break right here because Ryan and I both have to pee.
There we go. So we will be right back. Hello, and welcome back to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. We're going over Gun and Slinger from Nevyn Holmes. So we are digging more into the mechanics. Last time we just talked about the resolution of things, and we were talking about how to treat stats. Now, your stats are intentionally flexible and interpretive. While geared towards a few fairly obvious actions, they have a wide variety of uses. You focus on the task that you want to do and then work backwards to determine the task, which is really how you should do most games, which is just fucking tell me what you want to do. Don't look at your powers. Don't look at your fucking stats. What do you fucking want to do, man? Just tell me what you want to do. We'll figure it out. If you don't have a situationally relevant stat or you can't agree, make the check without a modifying stat. So when you making a check, always add your relevant stat, i.e. I spend a 3 pair for a check on my light on my toes stat is 2. So the stat is, it's a 2 plus 3 on your pair equals a 5, right? So your stat's a 2, you put down a pair of 3s, so you get a 5. That's how it works.
So what it looks like to me, what I'm getting is you only are able to add the stat to pairs. So if you don't have a pair,
play pairs. You play pairs.
Oh, you can only play pairs?
Well, it's not that you can only play pairs. There are options to... So going back to the mechanic parts, basically, what's it say at the top? The person who is asked must answer. So when a player wants to do something under pressure or an uncertain outcome, the Maestro requests a check. So the player then asks the Maestro or the other player if they have a particular card. So you literally say, do you have any 5s?
For pairs. Yeah.
Right. And if the person says no,
you draw.
They draw a card.
Yeah.
And then if at any point someone's hand contains a pair, it is set face down on the table. So basically you can have a number of pairs face down in front of you.
But if you don't have any pairs and you have to play for a check.
Right. So then that's when there's a section down here. You either play a pair, request a bargain, or accept failure. So we'll get to bargains a little bit later.
So okay, gotcha. Totally did not internalize that.
Yeah. And there is options when we get later for the gun, if you're short on your pair, to add a single card, and we'll get to that too. But you also add your stats too. So if you know that it's a 4, and you only have a pair of twos, but you know you have a two in the thing, you can just know that you can just play your twos, so you can keep your higher cards for later if your stats will get there. So the starting stats and examples of use, which is interesting. I like these because they're not just like deception or whatever. So
they're very variable in their interpretation, and I really like that.
I love that. Again, it reminds me of like Orbital Blues. That like when they say grit, you know what grit is, but it's still a wide thing that you can do with it. So for the gun, you get embodiment of magic. So the gun's relationship with magic. How good are they at it? How much do they know? How usable it's usable for magic adjacent checks. Sharp for a gun cracks me up a little bit. How clever are you? Yeah. How smart, how physically sharp. Primarily concerned with quick wits and knowledge, but if you want, can be taken literally, and just a little bit mean. Are you an angry gun, intimidating, short-tempered? This covers all of those and anything else you can imagine. Basically, it's your catch-all, kind of like your gun stat. And then for the Slinger, I've been around. How much have you traveled? Been a lot of places, learned a lot of things. Consider this measure of worldly knowledge. And also used for reading people. Good in a fight, maybe you're more brawn than brain, usable for fist fight or intimidation. And light on my toes, how fast are you? How good at sneaking? It could also be for maintaining footing and balance on, I don't know. I think this was a miss in editing unless it travels onto another paper.
Nope, it does not.
Yeah, I noticed this when I was reading it. It's just balancing on something.
I would actually also say for me personally that if my player, I'll actually see if that misprints the book as well. For my players, if like they tried to use light on my toes in conversation, I'd let them. You know?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. I mean, again, they're very broad.
This game is really like, no, just you should like why wouldn't you let them do that for that? You know, if you can, this is definitely makes sense.
Yeah, this is definitely a really, really heavy like rulings over rules. So I love this because as soon as I read
on shaky ground, it's not in the book. So
gotcha. On shaky ground. Cool. Good. We love that. It'd be great if the PDF was updated. Viking Death Squad had the same thing. Couple of errors. They were not in the book. So good job, final editors. This was very necessary because after those last 2 pages, because it's such a different mechanic, my brain went, what? So what you get on this page is simplified check steps 1 through 8. Number 1, the Slinger says they attempt sneaking past someone. Number 2, the Maestro decides this requires a check, meaning the Slinger must go fish. I kind of wish they, like, it's a go fish mechanic, I get it, but I wish that they had come up with like a different verbiage. Like, I don't like that it says go fish. I wish it would have been something else. Number 3, the Slinger asks the Maestro or the gun if they have a card, but they don't. Number 4, the Slinger draws from the deck, completing a pair and placing it in their cache. Okay. Number 5, the Maestro says the check is hard, so it costs 11. Number 6, the Slinger plays a 7 pair, adding their light on your feet stat for a 9. And something that I don't think has come up yet. Number 7, the gun aids by paying a single 2, tying the cost. So the gun can always aid by just by paying a single, because a Slinger has to make pairs. The gun can add singles. And number 8, their narrative moves forward with a normal success. So that is the steps of the game. Real quick again. I as a Slinger want to do something, and then you as a Maestro say, okay, for that you're gonna need a check. That's more than just something super easy. So I say, okay, I have a 6 in my hand. Gun, do you have a 6? Gun says no. And I say, okay, so then I draw a card. And when I draw a card, I'm able to put a pair together. All right, I got, might not be my 6, but I get 2 5s. I put the 5s down in front of me. And at that point, the Maestro goes, okay, your check is a hard check that's going to be an 11. And I say, okay, in my cache, I have 2 7s. So I have the 2 7s. And I know my stat is a +2, so I have a 9, and the gun, knowing that I just played that 7, drops another 2 to make an 11 and weave together as the gun and Slinger succeed. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it really is pretty straightforward.
This example of play absolutely fucking necessary for a mechanic that everyone's kind of played Go Fish, but not an RPG is really, really important.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's, I can't tell you how many RPGs I own or you own at this point. I don't have a single one that has playing cards other than this. So I like it.
No, I mean, there's a lot of like solo RPGs that are like playing card based and stuff like that. But yes, no multiplayer where the entire mechanic is just cards for sure. Basic moves, face moves, and a couple of notes. So, recovering from damage, players heal up, restock, and regain half of all used twist and connection if they're in a safe place when a session ends. Not if you end in an intense cliffhanger like a Mrs. Shootout. So, as a heuristic, camping somewhere relatively safe means you'll heal. You can also recover using items, paying a doctor, blah, blah, blah. Giving aid, players can aid each other once per check by describing how they are assisting and paying a single from their hand, adding to the total paid. So that is something that's always an option, because I think I said just the Slinger does that, but I think the gun and the Slinger both have terms. Yeah. So you can always aid your ally once per check by dropping a single. I wonder how much... And I don't think it says it in here, I could be completely wrong. How much talking would you allow at the table? I mean, the gun and Slinger work together, and I assume there's like a telekinetic link. So if I say... I would
always assume with these two, they have a telekinetic link. So I would allow quite a bit, honestly, in this game.
So if you're saying like, all right, we know it's 11 gun, all right, all I got's a pair of 7s, and my stat's a 2, so all I got's a 9. Do you have at least a 2 you'd be willing to drop? And then the gun would be like, fuck yeah, I got a 2 for you. You would allow that in play?
I don't know, actually.
I think I would, because I think that is a mechanical version of telepathic communication. Because I imagine, like, in world, it would basically be like a part of your brain goes, I need your fucking help, you got me? And the gun goes, fuck yeah, I do. And then, boom, that's a 2. That's how I would do whatever
was most fun for everyone at the table that I was playing with. If I was playing with 2 other people that did not want to play like that, I'd be like, fine, we don't have to play like that at all. And if I was playing, like everything else, I'm fine with however this ends up,
I might also sometimes play as a pissy gun that doesn't like my Slinger and be like, nope, I'm not talking.
The gun can't be fired without its consent.
Blind pay and play come up a bunch in this, and it tweaks my head a little bit sometimes, because I want to say play a bunch, but it's pay, because I want to say a blind play, but it's a pay because you're paying a fee. So this is another option, a blind pay. To blind pay, both players place a single from their hand face down, obscuring their respective cards before simultaneously revealing and combining their value. A blind pay's difficulty is calculated as follows. The Maestro sets a difficulty based on the ranges below and flips the deck's top card, the modifier, adding it to the blind pay's total. Blind pays are always used when players attempt to shoot something, but the Maestro can always call 4-1 for simultaneous gun and Slinger actions. So number 1, the Maestro declares a blind pay and sets a difficulty. Number 2, the Maestro flips the deck's top card, the modifier card. Number 3, the players play a single face-down card from their hand, trying combined to exceed the difficulty without busting.
It's blackjack.
It's blackjack. You go from Go Fish to blackjack.
Yeah, you go from Go Fish to blackjack. You go from one game that's easy to understand to another game that's also very easy to understand. So
yeah, it's just about making that understanding fit within the concept of the game. But it's you have to go over without going. You have to beat the number without going over. Which basically because the Maestro flips or sets a difficulty instead of just flipping the top card. So if they say it's an 11, you have to get between 11 and 21 without. And that's when I would not allow them to talk to each other for sure.
Oh yeah, no, they're gonna play a face down card and not say anything to each other.
Every blind pay has a set difficulty based on context, and if the total of the players and modifier cards ties or exceeds, it's successful. If it goes over, it bust. Easy is a 14, medium is a 16, hard is an 18. If blind pays, face cards are worth 10, aces are worth 1 or 11. One player may choose to add the relevant stats to a blind pay after revealing the cards, and scoring a 21 exactly is a pure success, as with aces. So again, it's fucking blackjack, and it's 14, 16, 18.
It's fantastic.
Fucking blackjack. It's interesting. Do you want to? Yes, because example play is super important. And this is with a Maestro list and with Maestro options. So in a GM-less game, blind pays work similarly. The deck's top card is flipped to determine the difficulty. I like that.
Yeah.
Even more so than the Maestro choosing the difficulty. Then another is flipped as modifier to the player's total. Instead of setting the difficulty, the first... So wait a minute, real quick. You flip... We each lay a card down, but the Maestro flips over the modifier card too. So it's the combination of all three cards, right?
What you're saying with the Maestro in game?
With the Maestro in game, it's 3 totals for under 21, right? Well, let's read it with the Maestro and we'll find out. Instead of seeing the difficulty, the first revealed. Yeah, let's read with the Maestro first, and then we'll do it without. The duo wants to shoot a twist spider rushing from the tree line. The Maestro takes the situation into account. The spider's fast to start. States the difficulty is medium, meaning the duo needs to hit a 16 between their cards and the modifier card without... Yes, that's it. The Maestro flips the deck's top card, revealing a 5, which is added to whatever the duo plays. Accounting for this, each plays a face-down single from their hand and simultaneously flip them, a 5 and a 6. 5 plus 6 plus 5 is a modifier of 16. They just made it and they blast the twist spider out of the air. So yes, but you know the modifier first.
Right.
Which kind of makes the modifier well, I don't understand the point of the modifier card, I guess. Is it just to add a little bit of like, if it's a really high card, you have to play low cards. If they're low cards, you got to play high cards.
And here's the thing is that I don't have context for this because I have not played a game like this. So I can't make a call on like whether or not I think it's useful or useless because I've never fucking played a game like this, which means that we're about to we're going to rate this game at the end. We're going to rate the rules and then we're going to play this and change what we've rated the rules.
Oh, 100%.
We're going to give it like the rating that is appropriate because we don't have context for it.
Yeah, we're basically going to give it like we're going to give it like a more of like a cool or like how cool we think this is and how interesting we think it could be rating versus like an accurate. But I just don't.
This is obviously a play tested game that they I think they talk about that at the beginning of the book. It's like they played this, so there are decisions made that were for a reason. But like as somebody who hasn't played it yet, like I can't even begin to tell,
I'm just curious about the reason for the modifier card. If you know it beforehand and your single cards take that number into account, is it necessary to have... I'm curious about the necessity for the modifier card as opposed to just then playing the cards without that modifier. And if it is a way to add a little bit of chaos into it, because basically, again, if it's a 2... and you have to get to an 18, you have to play high cards, right? But if it's a 9 and you're blind playing 2 cards, you're not sure. So it definitely injects a sense of uncertainty, I guess, into it. Oh, here we go. Fork 20. The modifier is mostly there to add mix-up. Exactly. To add some mix-up in play to kind of signify the chaos of ever-changing situations. Ryan, you were spot on. Thank you so much. So yeah, so you flip it to, like he just said, give a twist in it, because otherwise, if all you need to go is over 16 to get to 21, both players kind of are like, ooh, like we have to get to this. Technically,
you have to get to under a face card. Get to 21.
But here's the thing. That's the thing, though. If that's the case, though, basically anything that's not a face card, especially for easy, if you both know that, like, because a 9 and a 9 will never break a 21. You know what I'm saying? But if the face card flips over and it's a 7, you have no idea what the other person has and how they might try to take the 7 into account. So it definitely twists it up a little bit. So that's interesting.
Yeah, very cool.
Interesting. Okay, cool. And then the only difference with the Maestro list one is that no one sets the difficulty. You flip over the top card and that's the difficulty. And then you flip over the next card and that's the modifier and you keep going.
Cool. Awesome. Love it.
But when do you do a blind pay versus... blind pay is always attacks.
Blind pay is only for shooting. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to take over on bargains and face moves?
Because like in regular checks, you play 2 cards, your pair, right? As a check. And as blind pay, it's you and the Slinger working together, so you both pay in 1 card, so 2 cards are still being played.
Right.
So consistently, 2 cards are still being played.
Because the slinger gets a turn, the gun gets a turn, but when you're firing the gun, both have to work together.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, do you want to go to bargains? Do you want me to keep going?
Hold on, I'm reading this message from Nevyn Holmes. Hell yeah. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah. We're really enjoying reading the game. And also it's nice to always have the creator in here when we have a question.
Oh, dude, it's numerous times we've had the creator pop in, and it's so amazing to, we just do this because we like reading the stuff, and it's cool to hear the person come in.
We're knowing our opinions don't matter for shit.
We're fucking knowing. We're a couple assholes with terrible opinions. Thank you. Yeah. But I appreciate that. Yeah. We'll try to do it justice as we keep going. So yeah, do you want to...
yeah, I'll take over for bargains. Cool. Yeah, so basically if you're if your player lacks a pair or can't make the check costs, you can do a bargain. If the player has a face card to give to the maestro, the check is a baseline success, so you can just give him a king and you're good to go, which kind of makes face cards very powerful. Actually, face cards are pretty powerful in this game.
Oh yeah, they're already so we're literally fixing to go to the face cards, and they're super cool. So to lose one, it kind of sucks.
Yeah, if they cannot or don't want to, it becomes a blind pay, resulting in failure or limited success. So you can either bargain by giving up a face card, or you can not do that and do a blind pay. But the blind pay only has the best result of a limited success with complications. I'm sorry, I was reading something. A bargain's blind pay is never a standard success. It's never a standard success. So, yeah, you can either pay the face card or die. No, or do the blind pay and get a success with complications. Kind of like
or just take a fail.
Or just take the fail. Yeah, you can or just suck. Face cards. Face cards do not pair. The king is a symbol of luck, used to see any check, including another player's.
Nope.
Queen, a symbol that thrives in every environment and can be paired with any non-face single to produce a pair. So you can force a pair essentially with a queen. Jack is a symbol that knows a good deal when they see it. Play one anytime to draw 3 cards. You can just at any point in time you can lay out Jack and just pull 3 cards. Pretty cool. Ace is a symbol that's always good to have up your sleeve. Playing with 1 is a major success with an extra effect. So if you play with an ace, it's a major success. Plus you can gain extra insight, pose a question to the table and collaboratively answer, or you gain or maintain the upper hand, determined collectively, or your result improves remarkably. You don't just shoot the thing, you blow it away, or you don't just trick them, you fool them completely, or whatever. If your hand is empty, you draw 3. And we're moving on. Also, we're still going through it, but man, the art is all over this page. Every page has art on. Every single page. We haven't gone through a single page that doesn't have art on. Which shout out. I love that. Combat and action. So more or less, there is not a strict turn-based function to combat in this game. It is a theater of the mind, where there's kind of a responsive flow. You're playing out like a cinematic, essentially, right? And the fiction kind of decides the order and what happens, rather than a roll of the dice or any hard stat. As players take action, the situation evolves and changes. Characters can react to outcomes dictated by their own goals. For example, players in a tense saloon may attack a bandit. Outcome dependent, the bandit could go down before the counter-attacking, or someone in the room may miss, or someone in the room may step in if they miss. The combat is very much not your turn-based D&D combat. It is like what do you guys want to do? Okay, well then this is going to happen after that, or this thing gets the jump on you. The narrative decides combat speed, essentially. As with any other scene, the Maestro players should freely discuss ongoing combat actions. If you're unsure what happens next, talk it out. It's cool. I like that. I get fine. I mean, I'm over super strict turn-based combat. It is arduous and can be difficult. Yeah.
Pain in the dick.
What's up? Yeah, big pain in the dick, especially if you have like, a few people who are bad at decision making.
Oh my god! And if all you do to make something harder, realistically, is just add 400 more HP to it, it's a fucking slog.
Yeah, this is cool. Like, Spider drops down, it attacks you guys. Then you take a shot at it, you miss your shot, or you hit your shot, and we just kind of go from there. I really like that.
This definitely, I mean, there's a whole page on combat and action, but this does not feel like a combat game. You know what I mean?
It's not.
Like D&D, especially 5e, like however far they've gotten away from the war game roots that it had, Chainmail, Blackmoor, all that kind of stuff, it's still a fucking combat game, like, is what it is. It's this, and we love games like this where combat is in the game, but it is not a combat game.
Right.
So I like this where basically like the spider jumps out, you shoot it, it's dead. Like you did the thing that you did, you know what I mean? Like, and you move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. We're moving on to once again, love the art. And then moving on to shooting, killing, and other violent acts. Yeah, you can. This basically, you can cause violence. You can, and it's simple to do, but there are repercussions. Always consider other options. You gain next to nothing harming someone or something. And I love that. If this game isn't about being violent. This game is about exploration of a weird world, and maybe some treasure hunting.
That's why it kind of gives me a little bit of a touch on Into the Odd, because
totally.
Into the Odd is not a combat game. That's why you always hit, because it's just like it's just kind of like narrative, very well, it's an exploration game that has combat in it.
It's a treasure hunting exploration game.
The scenes that when you're fighting, it's just like cool, like get through the fighting, like everyone does cool stuff, just do your cool stuff and move on, which is neat. So the gun obviously cannot be fired unless gun and slinger agree, and it's always a blind pay. Baseline, attacking with the gun or otherwise is medium difficulty 5 to 8, but in a given situation it can be easier or harder. When the player is attacked, they must pass check with the same baseline to avoid being hit. Totally makes sense. Single hit defeats a regular enemy. It's a fucking gun. If you shoot a thing with a gun, it dies. But the more twist touch or those protected by armor or other means might take a little bit more than a single hit. When defeating an enemy with gunfire, the gun draws a card. Otherwise, the slinger draws. So very straightforward. A gun shoots things and it dies. And that's why this is not a combat game, because it actually treats the gun like it's a fucking gun. And when you shoot someone with your gun, they don't have another turn after that, bro. They're gonna die. They're down. Yeah. So I do like though that very last thing, when you defeat an enemy, you get to draw a card, because otherwise you don't really have a lot of cards in your hand, except for there was a face card that lets you draw like bonus cards, right? Was it the Jack that let you get like 3 cards?
Yes,
was I
Jack
making
lets
that
you
up?
draw 3 cards.
Because you have to build up that cash, son.
Yeah, you really do. Harm for the slinger. Whenever the slinger fails to avoid getting hit, they take 1 scrape. They mark 1 scrape on their character sheet. The character sheets are really interesting. I'm actually stoked to go over them. If all their scrapes are marked and they're hit, they invent and write down a situationally appropriate major injury. Exceeding 2 major injuries is fatal. So you have several scrapes. Once you max them out, you get a fatal injury or a major injury. 2 major injuries is going to kill you. What's up?
It's another example of, though, that I don't think this is a game for beginners. Like, it relies heavily on the players and the maestro, and like you said, you need a good group of people to play with. The whole like if all the scrapes are marked down, invent a major injury. I feel like newer players are gonna have that choice paralysis kind of thing. But what's what's a major injury like? You know what I mean? So I definitely think this is a game designed by a game designer who's played a lot of games, and the
Yeah.
people that play it have probably played a lot of games, which is not a bad thing.
No, I don't think it's a bad thing. When there are so many games out to open the door to people who want to hop into playing tabletop games, and I kind of like occasionally having one that's like, no, this is. I mean, a beginner could play this, but
Absolutely.
two beginners and a maestro could not play this. You know, you need at least two decently experienced TTRPG players and one newbie.
I think they absolutely could, but I think to really get the full potential of this game,
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like Kingdoms, you know what I mean? Well, we're like, this is amazing, but there are very specific people I would have played this with. You know what I mean? This is not a game for everybody.
So, death in a twist marred world, death isn't always final. If you're really attached to your character and their collaborative story, you can strike a bargain with something beyond your understanding. Every time you die, essentially you're affected by the twist. You're twisted. And it kind of the Slinger has this thing where they're like somehow connected to the twist, and by drawing on the twist power, it's not a great thing. So every time you die, you can come back. You can be resurrected, but you're twisted. Resurrection should never be simple or hand waved. So there should be something you give up or something happens because you come back. That's right. When Slinger is resurrected, they're going to mark one of their twist track points, and this can never be cleared. So you have twist track points for using your abilities as a Slinger. But they refresh after a time, right? Or after certain actions. But if you use it to resurrect, you gain a mark on there that never goes away. Additionally, the table must decide how the twist physically transforms you. This isn't necessarily a negative, but it's noticeable. And here's some examples. Transformed eyes with stars inside. Cat-like ears. You could be finally live your cat boy dreams. Cat boy or girl dreams. A marked arm with a growing curse. That sounds fucking sick. Backwards bent legs. That sounds awful.
This sounds fucking terrible.
You have fucking goat legs.
Oh my god.
Or like what's that one? I'll think of it eventually. That's a H.P. Lovecraft character who's got goat legs essentially. Trading favors, getting hung up on tracking dollars and donuts. What?
For those that can't hear me clapping because I use NVIDIA Broadcast, Nevyn Holmes, I love you for this. It's my favorite line in the entire thing.
What they you don't track money, You
don't track money. Fuck money. Don't give me a list of 8,000.
It's assumed that you have enough money to survive and have water and food. But finding a place to sleep or transportation, there is where you find difficulty, right? You might need to trade something of value or do a favor. And that's great because a favor is a narrative tool, right? Like pretty much you can do a favor for anybody, if you need something, you can offer to do a favor for somebody. Everyone has something they need, whether it be cleaning something or hunting something. You can do a favor instead of money. I think that's a great asset.
Love
instead
it.
of just put a dollar amount on everything,
Oh my god, I hate pages. I hate pages of like this costs 1 silver, this costs 2 silver, this costs 3 silver. Because here's the thing. Here's the knock that I have on that. Shit costs different things in different places. It's supply and demand, man. Like just because it's 2 silver in this part of the world doesn't mean it's not 4 silver in that part of the world. So why give everything a value?
In the game, bro.
You know what? When and if I make a game, it's going to be the costs is what you're willing to pay, and what is basically it.
Hell yeah. I very much prefer that. And I like favors because you can you'll do this for me. I need you to clean out my stable. And even that, you can narratively they can do a check for cleaning the stable in a certain amount of time or without getting themselves dirty, or you can do some fun side mission shit. I like that shit.
The side mission says exactly, it's an adventure seed. It's a side quest. Yeah. And since the whole game is an exploration game with some combat in it, not a combat game, side quests are literally the point of the fucking game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So favors are, I think, would be a great GM tool in order to create this side narratives. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I actually think I might steal that for Lost Adepts because it's a travel space western.
There you go.
So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool. Tools and trinkets. Tools are basically like our tools that you can use in the game. And there's any amount of tools that you can imagine, but they give us a list. And then trinkets are interesting. Trinkets are special and often magical equipment. They're not always rare, but sometimes they are. Kind of depends on the power. But here's a little small list. So I'm going to pick a trinket and a tool, and I'm going to read off. And you want to do the same?
Sure.
For tools, I like my Western character I always play as Cookie. So for me, rations, cooking supply, and gasoline is my favorite tool. But for the trinkets, which are fucking cool, I like the Ghost Translator because it's just fucking weird. It's like one of those little machines they walk around that say words as they're walking around ghost things, you know,
like playing Phasmo, and it's just like fuck off. Yeah,
he said my name.
No. I really like. I mean, you know, because I'm a fantasy boy. The magical boons, treasure maps, and armor is cool because I like how they said earlier. Like in some places it might feel like a little Western, in some places it might feel a little bit medievally because that's the technology that they've been able to dig up. And I really like a small wooden game piece that speaks. Love that.
What do you think it says?
You're already talking to your goddamn gun.
Yeah, that's very true.
It recites chess moves over and over and over again. And as the GM, what the player wouldn't ever know is if they actually sit down and play it out, it would be a game, but somebody else is controlling the other piece. And it only says its side of the moves.
That's funny. I really like that. Cool. So beginning your journey, we're going to kind of just skim this part because we talked about it a lot before. For the also, this page is fantastic. The spread is fantastic.
Both pages. Yeah.
The art in this game is really good. It's funny because it's almost kind of understated because it is so sketch looking. But like, I really like the art in this game. Yeah. So pregame prep. Essentially, you're going to sit down with your players and decide. You know, talk about the backstory of the setting. Talk about what everyone wants to see in this adventure, and then kind of outline the scenario. And collaboratively work together to decide what you want to see and how you want to play. After that, one player is going to be the slinger, one's going to be the gun. They're going to fill out the character sheets. And then preparing a table, you're going to shuffle the deck after you remove all the Joker cards. You're going to place the Joker's face up in the Maestro's cache. Everyone gets Maestro deals each player a 5-card hand and then draws their own. Players place any pairs face down, like we know, in their cache. And the reigning deck sits face down in the middle for everyone to draw from. God, I got so sick last week, man, and I just cannot shake the congestion, you know?
Are you doing what I told you to do?
Work out every single day and lift really heavy weights. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, exactly what actually. I said.
Yeah, I've been taking stuff. I just took these.
You know, the person who's been doing this for a decade, you know, telling you what you do. All right, don't listen to it all. Let's go.
Cool. And then we're going to set up questions. And these kind of are just a rehash of what we went over, talking about, like, you know, what does the world look like? What are major landmarks? Like, the twist is omnipresent. Like, what do the beasts look like? The gun is sentient and magical. How common is this? Like, are there other objects like this? Or is the gun, like, it's the only one? And then it gives us a few questions for the slinger, which is, in the last few months, something awoke and now hunts you, which is my favorite part of this game, period, is the slinger is actively hunted. And it is a tool that you can use to push the game forward. And I cannot tell you, that is, period, without a doubt, my favorite part of this game. Is that something awoke a few months ago and is hunting you. The twist marked and changed you. How did it mark you? You have a trinket from your home you no longer have. You know, what is it? What does it mean to you? And what are you seeking / what do you fear? And then it has prompts for the gun this time. You weren't always this cold steel body. Who or what are you? What do you remember? How does your body feel? You may be a weapon, but you're more than that. What else are you a tool for? You are directly connected to magic's global flowing lines and fields, the ley lines of the world. How can you use them to affect your surroundings? And what do you want more than anything else? What do you fear? For gun and slinger, where was the gun found? What do you two disagree about? How does sharing each other's thoughts feel? Yeah, so they are telekinetically linked. I mean, I like this because it lets everyone set up what their character is and why they're there and what they feel like about being that character.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they're interesting. Like, both the characters are super interesting. And like, I have a lot of ideas for how the gun would work at my table and what I allow the gun to do, you know, because it is a magic tool.
Would you, if you got to pick first, would you be slinger or would you be gun?
I would be gun.
Yeah, of course you would. You're a gun boy.
I'd be fucking gun. Yeah, it's you're a sentient gun. When would I not fucking pick that? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've only said 8 times how fucking cool that is. Although, having said that, the slinger does have like essentially dark magic they can use through the twist, and that is fucking cool.
I mean, the gun would be cool. I kind of feel like I'd be slinger though, so I feel like we could totally do this.
Damn, we should have somebody else DM this then, so our be the maestro.
Well, it is maestro list if we want it to be. Yeah,
that's very true. I'd be interested in trying that. Cool. Yeah. Once you finish fleshing out the world, you should collectively discuss your adventure's focus. Like, you know, what do you want to do in this game? Do you want to defeat the thing that hunts, which is the thing that chases a slinger, which is the coolest part of this fucking game, without a doubt. Set some end goals. I'm kind of glossing over this, but, you know, set some end goals. You know, if you finish like one goal, you know, take a break and then return for season 2, it says. Let time pass, days, weeks, or even years. It's collaborative storytelling. Like, you guys need to figure out what you want to do, how you want to do it, where you are, what the world is like, you know? Do you know, Ryan?
Yes, I'm aware.
Ryan knows, guys. Yeah. So the player characters, the gun. And there is a very, very cool picture of this fucking Magitech revolver, like on the right-hand side. And it just looks so cool.
It's really cool because it's got like no barrel.
It got no barrel.
But I mean, kind of, but it's like dual. It's almost like dual barrel with an opening down the middle, and I imagine it's shooting out between that as opposed to out the end of the barrel.
Yeah. Spins up a little magic shot, you know? Yeah. So as the gun, you're trapped in this gun body. The gun is strange. It's a weird thing. Like, you're unable to move, but you can still move other things and speak to the world around you. And that's what I really like. I like that the gun can like psychically move things with magic. And I would definitely play into that as the gun. As the gun, you're an extension of the slinger's arm, executor of your joined wills, and tied to the world's remaining magic in a manner rendering you capable of manipulating it. You can interact with the world through the ethereal plane of magic. You don't have, obviously, a body, but you're bound to magic and the ley lines that control it, and you can manipulate those. You can interact with supernatural, mundane forces. You can talk to inanimate objects, move things, gauge people's emotions. You can also
people's flies.
Well, yeah, I would. Oh, absolutely. I'd be tired
all the time. Every fly
together. You know,
every fly.
You can also move by blinking, which is not always accurate, but I like that. The gun can actually like short range teleport. To blink, flip the deck's top card. Its value determines how many feet you teleport. Yo. So.
1.
That's exactly what I was saying. You fucking
or 2 feet. It's literally like an arm's length. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're basically pissed, so you're just like, fuck it, I'm blinking. And like you just move like 2 feet and drop on the ground. You're like, God damn it.
Okay, cool. Your connection to magic. Unlike the slinger, you are wholly connected to the world's magical remnants, not the twist. The gun is not an element of the twist. The gun is magitech, essentially. Yeah, so the gun has runes carved into it. A rune of tricks and treason could allow cheating at cards, while a rune of protection and peace could block a bullet in midair. Very cool. Connection is used when working any magic and is not limited to your abilities. Anything you'd like to do, providing it's connected to your runes, and is accomplished spending connection. Not every action done with connection requires a check, but the maestro may request one for something more involved or acting unnoticed. Regaining connection, by resting, you regain half connection, and by spending a single single card, you regain its value.
Like when you give aid.
Yeah. I'm smart.
You regain its value, which is cool.
Yeah, which is very cool.
Just by helping your slinger, you can regain all of your connection, because it's capital C connection, because that's the way that you use magic.
Yeah. The gun's really interesting. I love the gun in this game. I don't know if I've said it enough, but fuck, I love the gun in this game. Moving on, we have this fucking wicked piece of art, which is like this skeletal, like textbook example of a skeletal hand holding this like long red gun. Always handle guns safely. Keep them pointed in a safe direction, such as towards the thing that hunts.
I love that.
I love it. The player characters, your connection strength. While you can work magic, your powers aren't limitless, obviously. You begin with limited magical strength and you grow and accumulate. So basically your magical ability like grows. At first, you're not very strong magically. You can unlock a door, create a distraction, move small objects. That's your limited, right? Basic magical, simple things. Complex magic has greater scope. You could create an effective illusion, operate tech or magic devices, see the unseen. And then final is substantial. You could catch a falling building. Blink people out of harm's way, blink alongside the slinger. So you both could fucking blink. Which is
half a step forward.
God. Very, very, very cool. And once again, great art on this spread. I love it. I love it a lot. So you can perform magic beyond your current connection strength by spending 2 extra connections per additional strength level. So you can actually go above. You could do go above limited to go to complex or substantial, but it's 2 connection per level. So it's fairly costly. Your spirit provides you a unique pull on magic. So you basically get to pick. This is essentially your subclass: Agent of Trickery, Agent of Fury, or Agent of Peace. Agent of Trickery. You invert the world with your connection. Pick a random card from the deck, causing chaos. Higher card values are beneficial. Lower card values turn chaos against you. If the face card is drawn, put it at the bottom and redraw. Agent of Fury. You're all about that rage and flame, baby. Pick a random card from the deck. The card's value is a pool you divide between targets and distance in feet. Targets nominated begin to supernaturally heat. If flammable, they ignite. If a face card is drawn, put it at the bottom of the deck and redraw. Agent of Peace is protected magic, right? You pick a random card from the deck, as with all of these other ones. And its value is how many seconds the target is shielded from any damage. And once again, the face card is drawn, you put at the bottom. And then to the right, we have what is effectively the character sheet for the gun.
Yep. And this is, I believe, unless I'm completely mistaken, the character sheets in this are done by Will Yobst, who is the mind behind Good Luck Press, who just put out the game Torque, but is also on the Brain Trust podcast with Anna Bass.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Character sheets. The character sheet's super functional. Honestly, like you could not read the character creation portions and you could just read the character sheet and you have a really good idea of what you could do, you know? Yeah. Would you like to read the Slinger?
I would love to. I was actually going to say, since you're the gun boy, I can be Slinger boy. But yes, the Slinger. Great piece of art on the side. You are a wanderer without a home, seeking something in the twisted world. At some point, the twist marked you, granting supernatural abilities and strange senses, which is interesting. The gun is magical. The Slinger is twisted.
Yeah.
Which I love. I love that. Another reason I'd be Slinger, you'd be gun. You must be careful with them, lest you succumb to the twist's thrall. Being marked, you're hunted by a strange, horrifying creature the twist designed. You may not know initially, but the thing that hunts is after you and you alone. You are torn between the strange and mundane. Will you give into a noble powers before finding answers? So you have a twist-touched nature. You start relatively clean with manageable twist marks on your soul, but much as you like to maintain that, it's simply unlikely. You use twist to protect yourself, utilize your words, and activate special abilities. So how the gun uses connection, the Slinger uses their twist nature to do things. As your twist track fills, you lose yourself to the twist, never to be freed. You transform into a monster, abandoning the gun. This is functionally permanent death. So you do not want your twist track to completely fill. You can remove marked twist by resting, which removes half your twist, performing selfless acts, which removes a twist, or spinning 2 braids, which removes a twist. And we'll get to braids later.
I like that performing a selfless act, like a human thing. Being a human pulls you back towards your humanity a little bit.
Absolutely. Could do like someone like a favor and just be like, I don't need, don't pay for that. Do whatever. Being marked with a twist changed you physically and psychically. How does it manifest? You have a sense that others don't. What is it? A sense for weather, a sense for magic, or a sense for evil? And an ancient word is etched into your mind. What is it? This is a word that reflects, predicts, and aids you. Use it by gaining 1 twist. The use's form is mutable and determined when used. A word of guiding, a word of courage, a word of rage, a word of hiding, a word of fear, or a word of hope. So you need to pick those things.
Yeah, and I think it's a word of guidance or a word of hiding, a word of maybe, because it says it's mutable. And I don't quite remember actually. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think you would basically it's one of those 6 things.
Oh, okay. So you have all. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
So you get to pick, I believe it's just 1. This is a word that reflects. So I would pick a sense for evil, and a word for probably fear. That's what I'd go with. Let's have a dark session.
Scary boy.
Yeah. So going on to the character sheet and the 3 abilities you can get. You can pull on your ties of the twist to perform strange magical feats. You choose 1 move. Using it adds 1 twist, much like how the gun adds 1 connection, or it costs a connection. A lucky one, you can call upon the twist to act as Lady Luck, pushing things just a bit further when things are rough. When placing yourself in danger, you may pay with 2 mismatched cards from your hand. Their total is a pool of points to improve checks until exhausted or danger passes. I love that. So basically, you just flip 2 cards over, and any of your checks, if you're a little short, you can pull out of that pool. Now you don't. As an next ability, you pull the twist close, gathering it and shifting your form. Pick a random card from the deck. Its value is the number of minutes you can turn invisible for, but you still make noise. Face card, put on the bottom. And then Desperate Gambit. You make a bet with the twist. If you win, you gain power. So you and the Maestro, or the other player, each place a card from your hand face down, then reveal them. If yours has a higher value, you succeed at the current check and draw a card. Both spent cards are discarded. I love that. It's basically it's a way to do a bargain that you can actually win at, basically.
Yeah, it's very cool. There's a lot of really cool stuff in this game. This game is very cool, It's
got a lot of cool stuff. It does have a lot of cool stuff. I'm not going to lie. I still really want to play the card aspect of it to feel how I feel about the cards. But I do think it's clearly, thoroughly thought out.
Yeah. They played this game.
Yeah. Once or twice. Character, player, and advancement. So braids, and I'm curious why braids are how you advance. Braids represent character and player growth as a physical object. Your experiences create combining twist, magic, and knowledge. With focus, they grant strength or material goods by integrating them into your body. Some wear them like a badge of honor. Others keep them half-mindedly hooked onto their bags or sell them to braid keepers for a pretty chunk of change. The question is, where do you keep them? What form do they take? You gain braids by acting according to your agendas and runes. I believe, and completing noteworthy tasks. You always gain a braid when failing a check, which is interesting. We'll have a discussion sometime about advancement on failing instead of successes. I would love your opinion on that. Yeah.
I mean, failing is experience,
Yeah, but so is succeeding.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. The Maestro may give you braids as they see fit. At the end of a session, answer the following together and mark a braid for each. Did you barely make it out alive? Did your legend grow? Did you create avoidable trouble for yourself? Did you learn the world's deeper secrets? Bunch of braids. Do you want to go over spinning braids?
Yeah. Spinning braids. For 5 braids, you can create a new trinket or tool. Where is it from? What does it do? How does it change you? Declare a new fact about the surrounding world. I love that. You can spin braids and just be like, this is how the world works. This is how this thing works in the world. And like, God, I wish my players would just fucking do that sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Go wild. 10 braids. Give yourself a new stat starting at 0. How does it reflect you're changing? What does it mean? So you can just make up a stat.
There's even what's cool too is there's even 3 blank spots on the character sheet already for you to just make up stats. And I would make you make up like not just like deception. You have to do like a light on your toes. I've been around like a whole thing. Love that. Yeah,
I love that. Grant yourself a new ability move. Ability move or other character specific ability. Either select one from the character stats list or create a new one. Also great. For 15 braids, you can raise a stat by 1 to a maximum of 3. How was this aspect strengthened? Gun spins braids too. Strengthen their connection. Advancements costs are limited to complex is 10 braids. So going from limited magic to complex is 10. From complex to substantial is 15. Gaining a new rune is the current rune +2.
I think that means like if you have 3 runes to go up is 5, and then if you have
So if you have 1, it's 3 for the first one. The Slinger spins braids 2, gain a new sense. Cost is the current senses, so +2. Raise their twist capacity, which is extremely useful. But it's the current capacity +3, so it can be quite expensive. Removing twist marks, 2 braids per mark, and discovering a new word, which is just words +1. So braids are very useful. Yeah, cool. Moving forward. So we're going to not read the Maestro's Toolkit all the way through, because if you want to read this and know how to run the game, you should buy this book. And we read a lot of it. So,
definitely like the Maestro's Toolkit GM. Like it's a lot of really cool tips on like difficulty and things like that. I actually, you've read through this. We're not going to read it, but you've read through this, right?
Yes, I have.
This super fucking helpful to understand the game a little bit better.
Super helpful. Yeah. But we are going to stop at my favorite part of this entire game, which is the thing.
Thing that hunts.
The thing that hunts. The thing that hunts. It's something connected to the twist that hunts the duo. More specifically, it hunts the Slinger. It is the Slinger's beast. The thing that hunts is a constant threat antagonist that creates pressure and raises the stakes simply by existing. During setup, you'll roughly sketch its nature and expand it through play. Almost everything about this entity is unique to your game, but it always connects to the Slinger, gun, and the twist. It isn't strictly the twist agent, but it's always malicious. I love it. And it kind of goes over how to use it with the jokers, which the Maestro pulls and puts into cash. We're not really going to read through all that because we've read through a lot of this already. But it's a great tool to push your characters forward and create tension. Especially in a game that's mostly about exploration, where you might get stuck in some side quest. or just like kind of taking it easy, like, okay, well, it's coming. You see it coming. You hear the storm coming. You can sense it approaching you.
That's one thing I do like about this section is that it says like, if you show the bad guy too much, you lose fear of the bad guy.
Right.
So you should have it like brew on the horizon, or maybe see its actions, not really see it, which helps with the thing. And to go back 2 pages real quick, based on that too, there are Maestro face card moves, just like there are player face card moves that are really interesting. And the moves are mostly narrative things, which I really, really love. Like separate the gun and slinger is one. Love that. It's not like a specific, like, the like draw 3 cards or whatever. Like, and I really like that the maestros are narrative while the players are more mechanical.
Yeah. I really, I think that this is a very, very good game. Like, I know we're not sure about the card rules because we don't have context for it, but like, it just seems great. We're also not going to go through scenarios and starting points because, once again, by the book. This is like every other time we don't go through the scenario parts, by the book. There are a lot of really, really good scenarios. We also have the options and expansions. There's the Maestro Let's Play.
Letting the gun shapeshift.
Letting the gun
so
shapeshift.
Cool. Yeah.
So cool. I 100% would give my character a gun, like let the gun earn the ability to transform into a sword. Like it even has a stat for like pretty sharp for a gun, you're a sword.
Damn sharp. Yeah. You're so sharp that you're such a sharp gun, you're a sword. Yeah, I would 100% let that happen. I would actually let my gun earn the right to create like a person form as well. Like they might not be able to interact with things, but like they can create a person, like holographic magic image. You know what I mean? That's interesting. Kind of let them feel as if they have a body for a little bit. Yeah. It'd be interesting too, especially the way you play it out. Like, did you just create this body? Is this an image of the body you used to have?
Yeah.
Like, you tell me.
Do you even know where the image comes from?
Yeah.
Cool. And that's actually the end of the main book, but there are 3 stretch goal games in the back that are offshoots from Gunslinger, and I think we're going to cover just one of them today.
Which one do you? I think you said Demon, which I obviously love. Sword and Bear is really good too.
Sword and Bear is great, but Demon is actually my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite too. So
Sword and Bear is great, and it's you were literally like a swordsman in a sprawling city that has a sentient sword, and the setting's really beautiful, and it kind of has this dichotomy between like nature and this gigantic city, and I really enjoy that. But we should go.
I really like it because it gives you that little twist. Just real quick to touch the other two. There's the nature, and then there's everything outside, or there's a city and everything outside of nature, but the nature is insidious. Nature is like evil in that one, and it's trying to get into the city, kind of. So I really like that one.
It breeds horrible beasts that try to are trying to like destroy civilization.
And I will say one thing that we did talk about this. I actually felt that the setting for Sword and Bear was much tighter than the actual Gun and Slinger setting.
Yeah, well, there's less in it, Yeah, I'd say it was tighter.
Well, it's this contained city. Yeah. But I think that there's a lot of Gun and Slinger that's very like open, and I felt like Sword and Bear like narrowed it in a little bit better, which I kind of like a little bit narrow. Yeah. And then the other one is Mech and Pilot, which is really cool. Where
I like that it's like a living mech. It's
a living mech.
It's like I think they call it like a god machine. Like it's like literally. And the thing about these is that all of these have, I believe they all have their own character sheets with their own abilities for all of these different variations.
They're completely different games.
So if you're like, Gun and Slinger is not really like what I want, but I really like the idea of the system and this really narrative driven play, and like like the Sword and Bear is great. Mech and Pilot's awesome. And
very like techie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Guyver a little bit. Yeah.
So what was that?
Guyver.
What's Guyver?
Do you know Guyver? It's like this alien thing comes down, but it's kind of like a biomech suit that attaches to this kid. You never watched Guyver?
Was that like a late 90s or early 90s movie?
Yeah, and like I think comic book and everything. Anyway, yeah. So basically, what he was saying while he googles that is if the kind of Western weird twisting isn't your thing, Sword and Barrow gives you a fantasy version. Mech and Pilot gives you like a tech version, and we're gonna go over the demon real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go over demon because I just like how astronomical they make the demon's power sound. You know.
Yeah. And the cover, dude, the fucking cover. It's got the symbol on the front and then these two hands kind of wrapped around it, kind of coming out of the sky. That looks almost demonic, but then you realize it's these long fingernailed, almost claw-like hands. So cool. And there's even like
in the middle, you know?
Oh yeah, the twist symbol. Well, it's like the moon. It's like a pale moon, but it's got the symbol on it. And then underneath it, you see this like broken down like mech thing. Bottom left.
Oh yeah, the red thing. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the next page already.
So dope. Yeah. Anyway, go for it. The demon.
Yeah. I'm doing it. Okay.
Well, I can do the demon if you want me to do the demon.
Yeah, listen, you're the demon boy.
All right, I'll
go for it. Go for it, demon boy. You're the edge warrior.
Got it here. Hey, listen. So are you, little bitch. There exists terrible and powerful beings able to consume entire fortresses in a single bite, rend an ocean in two, or even fly into the void to make foul concert with the moon itself. Out here banging moons. There's only one word to describe them: demon. No one knows where demons come from. All we have are stories, but really, when do we have anything else? Some say they're foul creatures designed by the twist. Others, they were born before the first star. Some even entertain there's only one true demon. We merely watch its reflections. But the stories all agree demons are fearsome, whispering, beckoning. They come bearing gifts and honeyed words. They can really, then they can really have fun when you let your guards down. Luckily, these beings are rare. Do you know anyone's even met one? You don't need to worry about demons. They probably aren't real, right? Right? Aren't they? No.
Right. I love, and we're about to go over the agendas, but like we can just talk about these agendas because like what is great about this is it flips on the head. It's no longer the gun and Slinger working together. The demon is actively trying to convince the possessed person to rely on their power. So it's almost adversarial. You're still working together, but the demon wants to be released and be an agent of chaos, you know, and the possessed is trying to not succumb to being possessed.
But they can at times. You know what this reminds me of? And again, I know we reference things, but that's how humans work. We label and contextualize things. This is fucking Sukuna and Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, absolutely.
100.
Yeah,
like,
it's 100%
bargain with me,
Jujutsu
baby.
Kaisen.
Let me out for 2 minutes. Yeah. Come on, I got you. So the demon agenda is, tempt your possessed into increasingly relying on you while being Chaos's agent. The possessed tries not to succumb to the urges to help the demon, and both learn about each other while staying safe, perhaps growing in the process, or fucking everything up. So there are some fun setup prompts. This section uses possessed as a stand-in for any playbook paired with the demon, but generally assumes you are Slinger, Bearer, or Pilot, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
That you could be any of those things, because the thing with Sword and Bearer is there's a setting. The thing with Mech and Pilot is there's kind of a setting. But Demon, there's not really a setting. No, it's just wherever. The characters. Yeah, and you can pick any of the. You could pick Slinger, Bearer, or Pilot, or do whatever you want. So for the table, use Gun and Slinger's questions where replace the fifth question with demons are unusual and feared, and their binding marks of possessed. What form does the mark on the possessed binding take? How does society react when seeing it? As in, Suka's tattoos are on the thing's face. Except, real quick, again, side noting a side note, like we've done a million times. Did you know that the marks on Suka's face are for the reader only? And that in world, they aren't there? It's just so we, as the reader or the viewer,
I did not know that, really.
When Sukuna, it's just like how Demon Slayers, like all of the animation that actually makes it a decent anime because it's actually trash, it's all fake. It doesn't exist. It is representations of sword forms and don't exist within the world. So if you're watching like Sad Cryboy or the one that sleeps too much, all of the cool animation, the characters in the world don't see that. It's representative. Anyway, synchronous tattoos don't exist. So for the demon, before you were bound and the possessed, you freely roamed the land. What did you destroy? What did you build? You do not think like any mortal. Your time scales are in centuries, not years. How do you feel about this temporary situation? I really like that. It's just like, I'm in a body for like maybe 20 years.
This is a blink in my fucking eye. I am eternal. I am forever.
Love that. You're a creature of uncertain origin and murky ability. What are your favorite lies about where you are from or what you can or can't do? And what do you fear most? What do you love? The author for this, because it's not Nevyn Holmes, is Adira Slattery. I really think that she... some of these questions, I'm like, yes, I would not have thought of this question. And it really digs to the heart. You know what I mean? I love that. Like, what are your favorite lies about where you are from or what you can do? I love that. Because if I lived for 1,000,000 years and I was this powerful, I would love to hear what people say about me. What are the rumors? What are the stories my existence has spun off? Like, what are the folklores and fairy tales?
I'm all knowing, you know?
Yeah.
I see everything.
And I love this piece of art of this guy with the glowing eyes and the demon kind of like coming out of like a wound in his wrist. Oh, so good. So the demon, you are trapped in a prison of bones and blood. It's unfair. In truth, you are an ageless being of fundamental cosmic power. Being contained is unusual, bordering on unnatural. But really, what is natural these days? The possessed is now your vehicle to explore and experience the world through... experience the world. Through them, you may exert your will. You are voiceless but not powerless, and you will be heard. So the demon stats, obviously, it's very similar to... like the gun and everything. So you get three things. You get Joyous Fury, which is you are cackling murder and gleeful power. 100 Words and Gifts, you are corrupting force, able to say what others want to hear. And Too Wide Smile, you are almost comforting, but not quite. And your demon, you spin braids to drink deep of their dreams. You gain a free use of their dreams ability each session for 5 braids. Gain further free uses for 10 braids each. And you gain a new title spinning braids. The cost is a current title plus 2. And we'll get into what the titles and stuff are. Unleashing. The demon cannot be unleashed unless both the demon and possessed agree to make it so. So good. The possessed must make a declaration invoking the demon by name. This declaration must be phrased in such a manner, right? Demon, destroy my enemies, or demon, get me out of here. They can be as vague or specific as the possessed wishes, but only a few words. And I'll tell you right now.
Oh, I would fuck with that. That's a genie's wish right there. That's a monkey paw.
It's a genie's wish. You better be real specific.
Yeah, that would be fucking with you. I would be absolutely, yeah.
When you let out a being of cosmic power, this kind of and this picture and this phrase,
demon, get me out of here. Oh, you got it. I'm going to destroy this entire town to make sure that we get out of here. It's like, no.
Yeah. But when I saw this thing on the side here where it said you are an ageless being of fundamental cosmic power, and then the demon coming out of the sky is blue, I got like an evil, like a genie in Aladdin vibe. Hardcore. The demon's body materializes and can affect the world as they see fit. As long as they obey the declaration's letter. The demon is encouraged to flex their cosmic muscles, destroying mountains and drinking lakes if it achieves the possessed goal.
That part, I'm like, oh, this demon is like when you summon it, it's like unbelievably god tier power. Like drinking lakes and destroying mountains. You're like, oh fuck. Like you can really go ham with this shit.
Cosmic fucking power, dude. Before commencing, both draw a card, making any new pairs. Unleashing is always a blind pay with difficulty based on how many keys the demon possesses, but situationally it can be easier or harder. So you come up with your true name. There is a title you hold that people whisper in fear of night. What is it? And there's some really cool options. Moon Singer, Lord of Far Waters, Night Tyrant, Teeth Eater, Bringer of Cold Memory, The Dust Between. I'm going Night Tyrant or Teeth Eater, man.
Oh, Teeth
Hardcore.
Eater for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Night Tyrant's a good one too.
But this is one of those things. I mean, you can just start looking up fucking Lovecraftian.
You bet.
You know, the thing that hunts. I mean, imagine if the demon is the thing that hunts.
Oh yeah.
And what if
I would still put a thing that hunts in this, and it was like an angelic. It was an angelic being or another demon. You know.
But what if you play a game of Gun and Slinger, and at the end, the thing that hunts catches you, destroying your gun, possessing you, and it becomes a game of demon?
Ooh, that'd be really cool.
That'd be really cool. The demon starts with 2 keys. So keys are like connections or twist marks. They gain keys as follows: the possessed complimenting or needing them, the possessed requesting their opinion, the possessed invoking your title or story for personal gain. They lose a key whenever they fail to be unleashed. Love that. Another Will Yopes character sheet. It's exactly like the other ones. Very usable. So demonic dreams, your desires provide you a unique outlook. Choose a dream ability and it costs 1 key. So dreams of fear, you live for the sudden gasping shout that has no choice but to become a scream. Pick a random card from the deck, deepening shadows as terrifying sights appear. Higher values are beneficial. Lowers turn their apparitions against you. If a face card is drawn, put it at the bottom and redraw. Dreams of stillness. You will not be happy until everything finally stops. Pick a random card from the deck. The card's value is a pool you divide between targets in distance and feet. Targets nominated begin to supernaturally cool, freezing if possible. If a face card is drawn, put it at the bottom, blah, blah, blah. Dreams of darkness. You wish nothing more than to let go of the world and drift into the void. Pick a random card from the deck. A visible target becomes invisible for value minutes. If a card is drawn, put it at the bottom of the deck. This is the only part of the demon that I'm not like the hugest fan of, because all 3 of those are just reskin powers from previous things up top.
Yeah.
Like every single one of them. The invisibility, the cooling instead of heating, and then the top one is very broad. Deepening shadows as terrifying sights appear. So like that's a completely narrative thing. But I think there's something like that up in the other ones too. I think you could come up with a little some other better demonic abilities. I couldn't off the top of my head. And I'm not saying these are bad by any stretch of imagination.
No,
I just think it's the weakest part.
Could.
Yeah, I think it's the weakest part of otherwise a really, really cool variation of the game. And that's literally all the demon is, because it's not a setting. It's not even necessarily a full game. It's just a replacement for the gun, basically. And it even says there is no player option, like Slinger options, because it straight up says use the ones from the other games. You could either be a Slinger, a pilot, or a bearer, and instead of having a gun, a mech, or a sword, you just have a demon possessing you. Yeah. So
that's Gun and Slinger, baby.
Gun and Slinger, baby. So we are going to kick over to the review page. You ready for this?
I'm so ready for this.
Fucking do this.
Ready.
Okay. So to quick rundown, like we always do, the way that we review things, the way that we give numbers to quantify our opinions of this game, it's 5 things. It's art and style, layout and function, rule set and crunch, originality and value. We give a score out of 10 to each one for a max score of 50. Art and style is literally the art that is in the game and the style of the art that's used throughout, if it's consistent, things like that. Layout and function is not like the design of the layout, that's more the art and style. It's the readability of the layout. It's the how easy it is to read the page. Function is things like hyperlink PDFs and the ease of which reading through the game is. Rule set and crunch is if it's a unique rule set, is it good? If it's an adapted rule set, how well is it adapted? Crunch is, does it feel like the amount of rules and all the stuff that goes into the game, does it feel appropriate? If it says rules light, is it rules light? Basically, is it not Shadowrun? Originality is exactly what it sounds like, and it's a very broad, open category. Originality in the setting, in the lore, in the mechanics, all those kind of things. Those are all kind of brought into this in general. And value, we've talked about this before, and people have questioned why we use it. It's because if the game is too expensive, we can't play it. If we got to pay $50 for the book, and then $30 for the PDF, and then like $15 for the fucking VTT, you are pricing people out of your game. So, and not only that, it is the bang for your buck. What all do you get for the money that you spent? Does it come with character sheets? Does it come with VTT assets? Does it come with, are there generators online? Things like that. What all do you get for the money that you spend for the game? So, art and style. We talked about it a bunch. What are your thoughts? Let me bring up the... Go ahead, but I'm going to bring up the old ones so that we can reference them like we always do.
It's got a really unique style that fits the game and reinforces like the kind of tone of the game. and the art's super consistent. It's page by page, and even when you go into the added content, there's still art on every single page. The art's really good, and there's a lot of it. It's definitely not an art book.
No, it's not Mark book by any stretch.
But I would say that for me, the art is like, it's like an 8. It's a strong 8.
I think I like the art. When we talk about, and again, we have to give ourselves context for this stuff. Orbital Blues got a 9.
It's not quite Orbital Blues, so
Warplane and Necronalis got 9s, right? So it's definitely not a 9, and it's not a 10 because that's Mark Borg. So 8s are Into the Odd, Casket Land, and yeah. So Into the Odd is like our 8.
I think it's there. I think it's in line with that.
You think it's in line with? So I guess might
need to be bumped a little bit because it's got some really cool full page pieces. This is lacking with really cool full page pieces.
Yeah. I mean, so Warpland is the other 9. Oh, I'm sorry. No. 8. We looked at what else got an 8? Forbidden Psalm got an 8. Nova got a 7. Viking Death Squad got a 9. What else got a 7? Red Giant got a 7. I think that's because it didn't have a lot of art. Arc got a 7 because it's really inconsistent. I don't know. Troika got a 7. I don't know. Here's the thing: is I like the art. I think it's really cool. I think the layout is really cool.
Yeah.
I think it
sounds like it's an 8, but based on everything else we've rated as well.
All right. Well, I'll go 8 on this. Oh no, that is not. Oh, I almost changed the wrong thing. So we'll go 8 for art on this. All right. Layout and function. So no hyperlinks, no bookmarks. It's not bookmarked at all, right? I mean, it's not. I know it's not hyperlinked, but it's actually not bookmarked either, right? I just want to make sure that it's not. No. So no hyperlinks, no bookmarks. Those are automatically big knocks. I mean, it's 20. I don't know when this book came out. But in a digital world, like we've said, that's really important. There's references in the book to other pages, and those aren't hyperlinked at all. So those are points off automatically for us. I think it's readable.
It's super readable. It'd be really hard to reference it though,
Yeah.
So scroll through reference points, like it'd be really hard to do that because it's super readable. But pretty much it's just text on pages. The headings are good. And the order is pretty good. I would put some like the touchstones a little bit higher.
I would put the touchstones very early. Like I think that would have helped like me when I was first reading it, like absorb a little bit better to be like, I totally get this a little bit more. For example, like I said, I felt like Sword and Bearer was obviously it's not as broad of a setting. It's a little bit more focused on the setting, but I felt like I was able to understand that setting a lot faster. It was a little bit crisper in the way that it kind of delivered it. I will say index wise, it's very thorough. It's like super thorough. If you look at the index,
does tell you
like almost page by page, like there's very few pages. But it's not hyperlinked. I mean, that kills me. The indexes can be as big as it wants, but
so what have we given a 7 to before?
For layout and function, Warplane got a 6 because it wasn't hyperlinked and it was pretty hard to navigate, and I don't even know if it had an index.
This is better than that, I think.
Forbidden Psalm, I think for the same reason. Viking Death Squad actually got a 7 because I also don't think that it was hyperlinked and it was very similar. Nova got an 8 because it was hyperlinked. 12 Years got an 8 because it was hyperlinked. Kingdoms got a 6. This feels more Kingdomsy to me, except we knocked off some points because there was some
headers and it was hard to find information. This is better than Kingdoms for sure. And I would
put this right. I would put this right around Forbidden Psalm. I would say it's about a 7 to me.
Yeah, I think a 7 is good for this one.
Okay. Okay. So here's one that's going to be interesting. Rule set and crunch. Crunch wise, I don't think there's too much. I think I think it's perfect for what it needs to be.
I think it has a unique rule set that I think is really cool and that gets out of the way of storytelling. You know, and I love rules that get out of the way of telling a story. You know,
I don't think it not only gets out of the way of telling the story. I think the rules actively encourage storytelling, which is really, really nice. It's not that storytelling is like a the game that we all know I'm talking about. There's 3 pillars, right? And it's RP and combat. No, it's a game. It is one game. It's one game is what it needs to be. And this feels like one game.
Yes,
this does
absolutely.
In no real specific way that I'll be able to quantify the game in my head that this reminds me kind of the most of, not mechanical or anything, is Into the Odd. It's an exploration game that has combat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Very true.
As opposed to like anything else. And the point is the narrative, and I don't feel like the combat gets in the way. And I feel like there's plenty of ways to bring social situations in and use the mechanics. Again, we don't know how it works, how well balanced it is, or anything like that. Because you know me, I hate just a D20. I like a little bit more consistency in the abilities. It seems like it knows
what it's doing, though. You're always playing 2 cards, very consistent expectations. Like, I would say personally, without playing it, I think that this rule set's probably an 8. You know, it pushes the story. It's simple and easy to understand, but also like because of face cards and what the Maestro can do, it's still very variable. You know, and you can use, like, instead of just a dice roll kind of deciding what happens, you can use what cards you have in your hands to dictate where the story goes.
Yeah. You know what? A couple of things here. One, you know, we gave Necronihilus an 8, and I really think that should be a 9 in retrospect. Because when I look at the number of 8s that we have, Red Giant was an 8, Mothership was an 8, Orbital Blues was an 8.
I think that Necronihilus should be bumped up 1, but I do think that this is definitely an 8. This actually might be a 9 after playing it, but I'm not sure.
After play it. But yeah, I do think, because 12 Years got a 9. I think Necronihilus should be bumped up to a 9 because this does feel like an 8, and I think Necronihilus is better than this.
Fine, cool. I'll give it that.
And more interesting and unique. Okay. So yeah. So we're gonna go 8 for this.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't use dice. It uses fucking playing cards. You know,
so cool. I do like that.
It uses Go Fish and Blackjack.
Mm-hmm. So originality. I mean, when we talk about the setting, not only, I mean, there's 4 games, or there's 3 games plus an extra option with the demon. But I haven't played another game that's kind of like Gunsling, that's like Dark Tower or like Trigun, not in the same way, because it's not space western like Orbital Blues is.
No, but it could be, but it also could be like classical West with a gun, and there's a lot of stuff you can do.
Could be a lot of things. But also, also again, using Go Fish and Blackjack as your mechanics, and it actually making sense, not feeling tacked on. I think there's a lot of really good originality in this. When we look at other scores,
I think this is like maybe like a 9 for originality for me.
So 12 Years got an 8. Kingdom's got a 9.
I think this is more unique than 12 Year. I mean, I love 12 Year, don't get me wrong, but like it is a fantasy adventure with Fae, and like that's not that it's not unique at all, but this is like super standalone. Plus you have to like the addition of the other things in the back that you can do, you know?
Yeah. I don't know, because I mean, part of the reason that we gave 12 Years an 8 is also that it's because the originality isn't just like the lore and stuff like that. It's how unique those rules are, which are like insanely cool and interesting and well done. I think the mechanics
has insanely unique rules. So I'm
kind of it's 12 Years and Go Fish. Or I'm sorry, it's Go Fish and 20 and Blackjack.
Yeah,
I mean it's not like they created a whole new
and Blackjack.
But what I'm saying is, if you look at 12 Years, like that's a completely unique, amazing rule set that was basically built from scratch versus this where they adapted Go Fish and 21 to the game. You know what I mean? I don't know. To me, I mean,
I'm comfortable with an 8, but I'm voting for a 9.
Okay. I mean, Hunter had to desperately pee real quick, and he gave his opinion and then left it up to me. So I'm gonna say 8. And then we are going to go to value. So when we talk about value, we talk about what you get for the game. So let's look at the cost of the game. and where you can get it. So Gun and Slinger. Let's go to this one because I believe it's the actual website. So it is $40 for the game, which includes the PDF. Product includes a digital version delivered separately, secure link to download. Yep. So it is a softcover book. You get the Sigil of the Twist sticker. Ooh, okay. So just so we can say this now, we've talked about it a couple of times. The Sigil of the Twist that's on the cover, fucking super cool logo. I don't know who made that. If it was Nevyn or somebody else. And shout out to those other people real quick. Layout of the original game, Cinta Posadas. Editing, Fiona Maeve Geist. Original interior art, Emma Harvey. Cover art, Sadia Bias. I'm sorry if I say your names wrong. And character sheets, Will Yobst. Whoever did the twist sigil, good fucking work. Super dope. Amazing. Super dope. And then, also, if you go to the webpage, Donoberry, their page, you can scroll to the bottom and guess who they did an actual play with.
No way.
Yep, +1 EXP. Fucking just, of course.
So funny.
In a good way, of course. Like love to watch those.
It's just funny because we were just talking about how much we like those guys.
Yeah. So $40 for the book. It's kind of expensive for a softcover book. You do, really, though, nice if you buy it from the website, you do get the PDF and the twist sticker. Did you get the twist sticker?
I did not get the twist sticker. What website? I bought it Exalted.
This is Dino Bear, which I believe is Nevyn Holmes' website. Maybe I'm making that up. But yeah, if you get it from there, you get the twist sticker. So if I do get the physical version of this, I'm definitely getting that, so I can get the twist sticker. But I mean, it's a nice book, but it's $40, which is slightly, I think what we said. How many pages is it total?
Including the additions at the back, it's 156.
Okay, so about it. We like 120. I mean, because it's not a zine. I think that's slightly expensive. I think we said 35 for digital is about. But also, I mean, it's 100 and something pages, but the pages are not very dense.
It also has Sword and Bearer and Mech and Pilot in it, which really extends it, and even the demon, which can switch out,
extends it too. Yeah. You do get. I do think that's a lot of content. I would say that the bonus content definitely wipes out anything for that little extra.
Yeah, I think the bonus content, if it did not have the bonus content, I think it'd really suffer. But we didn't even touch on the Mech and Pilot at all, and that's a whole other world and game. You know?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, so was Sword and Bear too. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. But we touched on that. And if you get it,
yeah, and just give it a little touch.
Just a little touch.
Oh, wait a minute, bro. If you get it from the website, not only do you get the 3-inch twist sticker, that's a decent sized sticker, you get a 5x7 art print.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Sorry, what website?
Dino. I'll
drop it in the chat.
There you go. DinoBerryJam.com. Come
in. What the hell was that?
Oh, I have no idea. So for $40, it's not just the book; it's a sticker and an art print with the PDF and the softcover. That's dope. So that gets bonus points there. But I think that's about it. I can only imagine that there's does this have a third-party license? It doesn't list it anywhere. Oh, no, it does. Licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0, which means you can do whatever the fuck you want as long as you say that it is attributed to this. So license, and then if you buy it from the website, sticker of the cool symbol that we really love, art print, book, and thing with the bonus games in the back. I think this is pretty solid. Pretty solid. What else did we give some stuff that got some stuff? I mean, the average, what got an 8? Like one game got an 8, and that was Ark. But that's because there's a shitload of extras with it, like a bunch of free shit. I would put this 5 is average. I think that the art print and all the stuff gives it a slight bit above average.
I agree.
What do you think, 6 or 7? Orbital Blue's got a 6.
I think 7, including the additional games in the back.
Kingdom's got a 7. I think, yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I think average, maybe slightly higher than average cost. Then you throw in art, print, and stickers, bumps it up from a 5 to a 6, and then extra games in the back bumps it up from a 6 to a 7. I'm solid with that. So
damn, on Exalted, I paid $40 for it, and I did not get the art print sticker.
man, you gotta look at all the options out there. So let's see if this will be like our 5th 38 in a row. 8 plus 7 plus 8 plus 8 plus 7, bro.
That's so funny.
Dude, everything's a 38. It's so interesting though that like the scores, like when you actually look at, again, when we're looking at this, never just look at the total score. That's just a way that we can quantify in our head. Look at the things that are important to you in a game.
Scores, like scores.
Yeah. Because we've had like 4 38s in a row or whatever, but there's not one that had the same numbers all the way through. But clearly, one thing that's good about this is all 7 8s, which means consistency. It's consistently a good game.
Absolutely, and I think that I really enjoyed going through this. Like, it's a really cool game. Like,
yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. I think I said this to you too. I do like it. And when you said like it's not necessarily your game, it's dark. I think it's a lot darker than the initial flip through kind of give the sense for it.
It's definitely got the potential to be pretty dark.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I do wish though. I wish there were more monsters in it than the 2. I wish there was more examples. Maybe a little bit of an extra like bestiary section or something like that. I know it's kind of like do whatever you want, but I'd do like a little bit more structure than that. That if I have one knock on this game at all, it's that me personally, for me, and again, not for like the game in general, but for me personally, I do like a little bit more structure, and that's why I thought Sword and Bear felt a little bit tighter. Because it gives a little bit more direction.
See, I actually like less structure and I like it to be more open because I'm going to do whatever. You and I are always on the opposite of this. Like you do like the immersion structure and I'm like, no, I don't want you to tell me too many things because I'm going to do whatever I want to do with this.
Right. And I like having a bunch of lore because I like being able to adapt that lore or work within it. So yeah, we are definitely, again, we are whatever it's called when you're 2 circles and there's a crossover is probably, I would say like 85% crossover, and that extra 15% for each of us in my 15% of that section that's not crossed over, it's wanting just a little bit, it's wanting structure with freedom, and you just want freedom to just whatever the fuck you want to do. So totally get why you really like this. And I'm not saying I do really like this. It's super interesting. I want to play this really bad. I wouldn't mind a little bit more structure. And I think that Mech and Pilot and Sword and Bear do actually give you just a little bit more structure.
Yeah, they definitely narrow the scope of it. So
yeah, just a bit. And that's all I want is just a tiny bit more, just a tiny bit more. But also though, I mean, when you do read the scenarios and stuff in the back, it gives you a little bit more context for the things that, for the intent. So I think this fits right in with a lot of the games that we've been doing. I mean, here's the thing. I highly doubt we're ever going to have a score lower than like 30.
Well, we just don't we just only do games that we want to do. So,
I mean, it's not even just games that we want to do. It's realistically, like I've read games that are bad. I don't want to do, for 2 reasons. I don't want to do like a thing about a bad game on the thing. And even the games that are really good, I know we nitpick at it, but that's to like pull out all of the things. You know what I mean? It's to like try to find all the little cracks and fissures and stuff like that. And I just don't want to talk shit on someone's game.
Yeah, me too. So.
You know what I mean? So like we're never gonna have an episode where we're like, man, like for the most part, man, this really sucks.
I definitely do have games that I'm like, I'm not going to bring this up because we're not going to go.
Hardcore.
I'm going to dig into it. So
yep, hardcore, because we don't want to be those people. Like I really like people spent time and money and effort to put this out, and we're not going to be the people on a podcast that just like rip into something too hard. Like again, I will devil's advocate and I'll pick and I'll pull at parts of it to really try to like get all of it, but I'm never just going to sit here and like super talk shit or try not to. Super talk shit on someone's stuff. So long story short, final thoughts on this. I really like it. It's really interesting. I wasn't sold when I first read through it, and I even texted you about it. We talked about it, gave it another read through, and reading through it again. The more times I read it, the more I like it, the more I want to play.
It grows on you. You're like, oh, this is really cool. And like, I love how much the rules push the story, you know?
Yeah. And I also like that the more you read it, kind of the more you understand the rules a little bit. Because the first read through, I'm like, fuck if I really, but like you just said, I like that the more you understand the rules, the more it's very, very clear that Nevyn Holmes thought a fuckload about it. And like I said, it is just go fish in 21. But it's one of those things that we said with the rule set, like how well do you adapt it? I think it's super fucking well adapted to it. I think like to put those things in it and to make it as intricate yet simple and elegant as he did, well fucking done. So yeah,
absolutely.
So that's
Gun and Slinger, baby.
That is Gun and Slinger. One last thing that I do want to talk about a little bit. And we'll kick to another window.
Bro,
real
tell
quick.
me, I want to hear it, dog. What are we talking about?
So I'm not gonna talk about it too much, but we'll go back to.
Oh yeah, did I tell you I got Y2K by Adam Bass finally?
Oh, I don't know if I've got my physical version yet.
Oh, I actually just bought a physical version of Y2K.
Oh, so I backed it so I would get a version. So one of the things, and we didn't talk about this at the beginning, so I'll bring it up right now real quick, is fuck, where are you?
I don't know.
I'll just copy paste this into the other window. Let me just bring this up here. Nevyn Holmes has another project actually out.
Oh, really? I didn't know that either.
Yeah. And I do not understand why it is not letting me just capture this fucking window, so that I can bring it up. There we go, you piece of shit. It is called Just a Car. Yeah. It is a set along the window. There you go. It is a mystery game of courtroom drama for 4 players. It is. I am not sure when it is going to be launched, but you should absolutely click this. I'm pretty sure someone who we both know and enjoy, Tony Vicinda, has already done something on this for +1 EXP. Let me see if I can grab a little bit more information on it real quick, and then we will head out because it is past my bedtime and I work tonight. But Just a Car by Nevyn Holmes. Gosh, the H page is down? Yes, there is an actual play on the InstaWebs right now. Long story short, I don't have a long story short because I can't find the information.
We'll bring it back up when we have better information on it during Kickstart the Podcast later on.
We will, because I'm trying to go to the itch page to talk about it and it is gone. And that's what I thought I was going to go to. So anyway, Nevyn Holmes, great game, awesome stuff. Just a Car, coming to Kickstarter soon. It is a drama, ttrpg mystery game of courtroom drama. Find it on Kickstarter. It is project/in-homes/just a car. Notify on launch. And again, like he just said, we will talk about it on Kickstart the Podcast. And that's all I got. I don't think we are heading out to anybody, so I need to go to bed. Hunter, super appreciate it. As always, you're the man. Thanks for bringing this game up. I'm glad you thought I wouldn't like it and then convinced me otherwise, because it is awesome.
It's a good one. Well, goodbye, everyone.
Bye.